We are Legion.
What is going on, comic fam? Welcome to the Legion of Comics. It's Sunday night. That means this is at week's end. Spoiler-filled look back at this week in comics and so much more. I'm joined, as always, by Chris, the comic vet, and then new guy from the Cosmic Campfire will be here shortly. Before we get into anything else, go ahead and check this out. All right, everybody, if you haven't already, be sure to hit that thumbs up. It really helps out a lot. Hit that subscribe button. I think when I started this tonight, we're 3 away from 800 subscribers. So hit that notification bell because there'll be cool announcements coming up really soon when we pass that point. And go ahead and share this channel out. Let people know to come in and hang out and chat comics with us. Let them know that fandom happens here. And we always have a good time talking with everybody in the chat. And what's going on, Chris?
Oh, it's just living life, man. Happy Sunday. It's been a beautiful weekend here.
It has. I'm trying to move some things around to make them more easily accessible real quick. All right, so guys, if y'all haven't already, go ahead and hit up Instagram at some point in time and check out loc.pops.addict. That's a little secondary Instagram page I have where I'm throwing books up there, my pops and myself, and they're priced to sell. Just moved a ton of old Venom series today, like right before this. Just finished doing that. So those went really fast. They went really cheap. So you don't want to miss out on some awesome stuff. And we're just getting started on getting everything added to that Instagram page. So if you're looking for any run filler or anything, feel free to go ahead and directly message the page and inquire. And we won't mind going and grabbing it if it's something that we're planning on adding to it, because there will be thousands and thousands of books by the time it's all said and done. So, yeah. What's up, Ryan?
Ryan, I'm.
What is up?
I guess,
He's
ladies and gentlemen, Ryan is in the doghouse.
Yeah.
No bed in the background. Things aren't good in Ryan's world.
Yeah.
Not true. Not true at all. This is how I stay out of the doghouse.
Okay.
By not pushing the issue. What's up? How y'all doing?
Good, man. Just doing all the normal plugging at the beginning of the video there. The thumbs up, the subscribe. We're only 3 away from 800 subscribers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, dude, it's moving right along. I'm really excited.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I remember like crossing over 200 subscribers, and you were like 500, and now I'm somewhat approaching 300, and you're approaching 1,000.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing to be a part of. I got to be honest, though. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of.
Y'all come and hang out and talk comics with me on a regular basis. Like me and Ryan at this point are both like Robin and Robin. I can't pinpoint if we're Batman and Robin, so I'm just going to give us both Robin when it comes to this.
That's
YouTube
what's
thing.
up.
There's a couple Robins.
Just trying to figure it all out.
Yeah. I'm afraid of the Jason Todd finale in my future.
Right.
Ooh.
It's one of us. We're going to have to let the fans decide.
Yeah. We're sitting out an 800 number vote here.
Oh, no. He's been complaining for like a week that he keeps hitting 790 over and over again. I'm like, I'd be happy just to hit it once. You should be excited for that, man.
I hit 790 subscribers, and I started counting it after I did it 3 times. Because like normally when I'm 10 away from a milestone or something, I'll share it on Instagram. So you can go back on the Instagram and actually see where I screenshot it and shared it.
Yes.
Well, then it hit. It hit. And when I'd hop on YouTube, I'd be like, 789. Then I see it hit 790 again. I'm like, okay, cool. So I was actually paying attention to it because I took a screenshot. So I just kind of caught my attention. And so luckily this weekend I was able to be off from work and do a little bit more on online than normal. So in the last 24 hours, I managed to run up 8 subscribers from somewhere.
Nice.
I was able to sit down and have some conversations with people on Instagram, like play catch up on people that have followed the page and stuff. People that have followed the page and all that good stuff. So. And I also had the opportunity to do that entry video to the Blasting and Stashing Would You Rather Volume 2 contest. That was really fun. If you guys in the chat don't know what I'm talking about, these guys. they're doing a contest right now, a video entry contest, because they said there used to be a lot more prevalent in the community and not enough happen anymore because they're really fun. So this is the first one that I've participated in, and they've got 7 questions for you to answer, and the questions are geared to be enjoyable, where it gives you a chance to kind of play with a little bit of comic fandom as well as showcase some of your collection and just, I don't know, it's just really fun. The questions, like one of them is like, what would you rather try to survive, an alien invasion or a predator invasion, and why? So you can pull out some
Ooh.
cool alien and predator books and start talking about the dynamics of that. But there's a lot of fun ones, and there was one that I think is going to split the community. It's if you were a writer and you could only choose one artist to draw your series, would you pick Peach Momoko or Rob Liefeld? So
Oh boy.
that was a controversial one. It was easy for me, but I can see where that one's going to split the community. And I watched Mr. Chip Getler's video today, and him and I did not side on the same one.
I watched both yours and Chip's, and I right away, the very first question that you guys had, I was like, I'm lost. I don't know if I can do this. Jedi or Sith? I'm like, I'm lost.
Same.
That's it. Like, boys, out. Thanks for the opportunity, but see you later.
Well, for me, like Mark had told me about this, and I was like, okay, sounds interesting. And then he posted his video, and he had like all these books, and I was like, oh, well, I'm out. Like, I don't even own a single Star Wars book. You
don't have to showcase books. They just
mentioned, well, then I watched Chips today, and I was like, oh, okay, us regular people can do this too. All right, then. I might do this.
The kids were in bed. I talk about it in the video. The kids were in bed, like I haven't announced this or done it yet, but tomorrow, me and my wife are going to sit down and we're going to record me asking her those questions, a layperson. Like she knows plenty about DC Comics. She can tell you anything about any of the movies, and she's read a good bit of like Harley stuff, especially here recently. But she knows enough that when she heard me say the question, Peach Momoko or Rob Liefeld, she goes, "Why would anyone keep Peach Momoko in their house?" I'm like, "That's why I married her. That's why I married her."
Salute to your wife.
Yeah, but when I told her one of the questions was Alien or Predator, because she's so anti-horror movies. She's not against them being made. She's just against having to sit through them. She gets scared with them. I showed her what they were. She goes, "Oh, hell no." So just having to talk about it gave her angst. So I'm excited to sit down, and I'm going to film one with her and post it to Instagram as kind of like the preview to, if you want to hear my answers on it and everything, go over and check out the channel, and also hopefully gain some traction from people and the other platform and get them to do it, because it's really fun to watch it, man. I hope more people do it.
What's the deadline on it, Mark?
Yeah, the final day, midnight of this month, the final day of the month. Okay, so you got plenty of time, but don't wait till the end. Yeah, like I would really say, like, I would try to get it in the next few days so you can actually enjoy watching other people's and they can watch yours and everything. Because if you wait till after the fact, it might come and go, because you do have to put a hashtag in your video. Hashtag hot dog and tater tots, so that it can be found. Like that's an inside joke between the people of the Blast and Assassin crew as well as the people that watch their channel. One of the guys on there does a meat and potatoes pick every week, where he shows off a book that is his quote unquote meat and potatoes pick. And one week he slipped up and pulled up a hot dog and tater tot pick of the week. It was really fun. Yeah, buddy. A what?
But yeah, Ryan, it's funny you said us normal people like Chip Getler. Have you seen his setup? There's nothing normal about Chip. Chip brings the fire every time. Just because he didn't have comic books. Like he's talking high-end camera. You know, even his chair is probably more of a setup than all three of us combined.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt. But as soon as I saw like he wasn't bringing up a book for like 2 to 3 books for every answer, I was like, oh, okay, that's not required. So maybe I can handle this.
Yeah,
because I enjoyed Mark's video, but I was like, man, that's a lot of stuff I don't have.
But yeah,
well,
so
I was trying to show some stuff that most people wouldn't.
So are they? Is it essentially then you put out a video, everyone goes to enjoy, and hopefully it catches on and becomes a movement. And is the winner going to be like through a generator kind of thing then? Yeah,
they're going to draw for a winner. If you put out a video, you get put into an entry, and and if you go over to if you just go over to Blastin' and Stashin's channel, Huey did an update video today, an entry video update that he posted today, because a few videos posted, and he just goes over the questions again and everything, and it's a really short video, just straightforward with him as well. If you go to Pocan Joe's site, him and Mike sat down and did a little skit where they were answering it and everything. So it's just meant to have fun, just to give you an opportunity to share about yourself and kind of a little bit of your personality and whatnot, and for people to enjoy doing it. And I didn't realize how much fun it would be. As soon as I finally sat down and looked at the questions, I'm like, well, let me go grab this book and this book and this book and this book and this book. There was just snowball effect, man. It was a blast. Well, let's say hey to the chat real fast. We do have Mr. Chip Getler himself up in here. A good day. We have the Blue Hellion himself. So, guys, the Blue Hellion just finally is getting his YouTube page fired up. So be sure to go check him out. I'm sure he's going to be doing a lot of good stuff over there. He was recently on The Hunt, showing off and competing for comics over there. And, of course, Blasting and Stashing is up in here. We got Las Cruces, 1971. How's it going, Mars Comics? Jason from Slotted Up 503, who just put off another fantastic episode of Rigged where Panda Awesome 316 went up against Nick's Kicks and Comics. I definitely suggest hitting that rewind if you missed it. And the one, the only.
Austin, I was going to say, Mark, they had easier questions than you and I did, man.
It felt like that. It really did. So we do have Austin LeMain here, who's a fantastic artist. You can follow him on Instagram, OZ10. Austin Overpeach. That's important to point out, I feel. Schwab for Comics is up in here. Vincent McLean, the Comic Machine. How are you? Thanks for stopping by. Boom, Free Key Louie. I don't know if y'all watch his show on Saturday nights. That has become a staple of my routine. It is pure fun. So much fun. Nick's Kicks and Comics, the reigning champion. Where's my shampoo? I'll send it to you. I don't know if y'all saw that, but right when he won Rig, Jason told him that they were looking at all the winners to bring back for a returning show, and they told Nick that they're going to have to put him up against me. And he said, I guess I'll be washing my hair that night. Nick's got as much hair as you do, Chris.
I know. He's a handsome devil, though. I'll give him that.
What's up? Awesome. May we have Tomorrow Cinemas. What is happening? No, I shoot.
Tomorrow has nice quality too.
Yeah, he has fantastic. He has like that Chip Getler quality. Where it's like the nice semi-blurred background, and you can watch their videos and see what their pulse is. It's pretty cool. It's that HD. Okay, and Joe, there he is. Would you rather contest how to enter video? Yeah, let me see. I can't see that on the screen. If you have a blue wrench, right, Joe? Yeah, okay. So there's the link for it. Been plugging the hell out of it, sharing it around all day long. So I hope we get some more entries for that because I have a blast watching them. Flash 6792 is up in the building. How are you? So that's caught up on the chat there. So if I missed you, I apologize. I did not mean to. So what's new? I did the Venom Carnage thumbnail because that's new, but I don't want to talk about it. Do y'all want to talk about it?
I haven't watched it. I don't know.
Well, the trailer dropped. I know this is kind of far out from when the trailer dropped. Or did it drop last time? Were we talking about that last
time? I felt like it dropped Monday.
Yeah, I was going to say it either dropped right after or like right before.
Yeah.
So our
last episode.
Our show couldn't have been farther from it if it tried.
Well, like our show finished like before midnight, and the trailer dropped 12:01. The bastards! But
oh wow!
No, I thought it was a little underwhelming. Like we didn't get to see that much of Carnage. It was a good voiceover work by Woody Harrelson, but again, I didn't think the Venom film was, that spectacular.
I see what you did there.
Don't at me. Get it? Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
But it was,
But isn't that like franchise adjacent or something?
Easy. Two different wheelhouses here, sir.
Found another line, I guess.
35 years ago, yes. Not anymore.
Yes, so how are you doing tonight? Nightmare. Yeah. Welcome.
But my question is, sorry, Mark. My question, Ryan, how far along are you with Jupiter's Legacy, sir?
That's halfway. That's halfway.
Okay.
That's not bad.
Okay.
Ryan's had a lot admittingly, had a lot going on the past couple days.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. Also.
Okay.
But
that's not bad. I planned
Yeah.
with Tyler to do like a full review, full spoiler discussion, 2 Fridays from when it started. So next Friday, so that'd be the same weekend. And I don't think Tyler enjoyed it. I saw a comment he posted up on Instagram on someone saying like, so
Oh,
I'm excited to have that conversation with him.
I will say, based on the 4 episodes I've seen, there seems to be a pretty big division on as far as thoughts on this. Some people find it almost unwatchable, and some people really seem to like it. And 4 episodes in, admittedly, like I can kind of see what they're pointing out on the negative end. However, that doesn't mean I fully agree with it either. Now, that might change by the end, but I see what they're saying. Like, by no means do I think this is like a perfect show thus far.
Mm-hmm.
And their complaints are legitimate, but I think it's very far from like unwatchable, at least for 4 episodes. And people are like, I couldn't even finish the first one. I'm like, it was not that bad.
Yeah. Now this for me, I think a lot of the complaints that I've seen have been like a production level complaints. You know what I mean? For the
Mostly, yeah.
most part. And none of that really bothers me at all, especially when I doubt that they really threw a lot of money at this, making it in a COVID era with an unguaranteed property, you know. So I personally don't think their suits look cheesy whatsoever. I think their suits look good for like I've went back and looked at the source material at my LCS and they look better than they do in the source material. They add like the little like constellation looking print and stuff to them, but
yeah.
like I don't.
When a lot of people are picking up the Volume 1 trade, and that cover looks so garbage. Like, I was like,
Wasn't the
wow,
volume
that's a
3 that
cover?
Frank Quietly took it over. Yeah, it had 2 different artists for volume 1 and 2. Then Frank Quietly stepped in and started running it after that. Which say what you will, but Frank Quietly, that's top notch talent right
Well,
there.
and knowing that he's on it, now that I know that, like, it kind of makes sense. Like, his artwork isn't my favorite. It isn't terrible, but I can totally see how trying to turn his type of character designs and artwork into live action is going to look cheesy because the dude draws, like, even more minimalistic than, like, Bruce Timm or something, you know?
Yeah. There was a Frank Whiteley Easter egg in the first episode. One of the vans that was in the background had his last name splashed across the side of the van that the first action
nice.
scene was in. Yeah, I picked up on that one early. But yeah,
Nice.
Frank
I had
Whiteley
fun with
again.
Venom. It wasn't good, but it
yeah.
was fun. And I want to just run through this whole Carnage trailer opinion thing real quick because my opinion
Sure.
doesn't matter, but I enjoy sharing it. The first Venom I thought was hot garbage. I can see where people might thought it was fun. I didn't think it was fun. Everything that I know and love about Venom kind of stems out of the 90s and the cartoon. So this movie didn't reflect any of that. So it looked like they took everything that I know and love about Venom, bastardized it, and try to fast food cinema it and deliver it to a new audience. So nothing about it hit me on any part of a level that I enjoy Venom for. And I think Tom Hardy's the worst casting job for Venom. He's one of the best actors out there, but does not fit the role of Eddie Brock. The second trailer, it literally looked like they could have shot the first and second movie at one time and just cut it to make 2 movies. So I have the exact same feelings I have for this initial feeling of this trailer as I did for that first one. And then they've even campied it up, which I understand what they were going for, but what they're going for isn't something that works with Venom. So I'm not excited for it. I will watch it. I'll hope for the best. But I just think it was stupid to even bring Riot into the first movie because now Riot's a bigger, badder symbiote than Carnage is. He's not as sadistic as Cletus Cassidy, but like it's a level. As bad guys are introduced, they get bigger and badder. So now we just get Red Riot. So there better be something they haven't shown us yet. Carnage better not be like the main thing that we have to deal with here.
As you guys know, I'm pro Spider-Man or whatever, but the fact that it was absent Spider-Verse or anything to do with that was to me the just the missing quality of it all. There was just very little talk about it whatsoever, and you didn't see Venom web slinging or anything like that, or pretending to have any spider type abilities. So yeah, it was. You know,
I didn't even catch on that. But yeah, it's just like he's just walking around a strong man, pretty much.
Yeah, there was.
I mean,
he was using the symbiote. Yeah, he was using the symbiote suit as for the trailer. Like the first film and the trailer, again, there was no web slinging, nothing to time to any type of Spider-Verse. Again, it was again without Spider-Man, there is no Venom.
It just doesn't hit. Like I can understand where a lot of the people that got in, like saw Venom, has gotten into comics like during the Donny Cates craze. might enjoy it because like they're just getting introduced to him. You know, they're getting a lot of foundational attachment to the character while this movie is like part of their introduction to it. For people who've been around a little bit longer, I think it's a little bit harder on different levels, you know, because we all have ties and attachments to these characters for different reasons. And if the farther that goes back, the more foreign I think these newer movies feel. Like it just doesn't work. You got to have Spider-Man for me.
It's tough. It's tough. It's like having a Robin movie with no mention of Batman. It's
Here we
you
go with
can
another Batman plus Robin
you,
reference.
you can go ahead and do it. It ain't gonna work, but you can try and span a sequel and hope that you can create yourself a universe. But Dark Universe learned the hard way. You can't just force yourself a universe.
And it's
Yeah.
PG-13. Ryan like just found that out.
Yeah,
Oh.
I guess my 2 cents on it. Like, I haven't seen either movie. I haven't seen the new trailer. The first trailer, the only thing I remember is there's a scene where he's like in a gas station bodega kind of thing, and he says, "We are Venom," as like he turns into Venom. I don't even remember anything beyond that. My 2 cents on it though is there's a lot of like tiny little licensing issues that they run into that really takes all the venomness out of it, you know? I mean, it seems stupid, but the fact they can't use the white spider thing, that hurts, you know? And there's a couple of other little like licensing things there. Ultimately, I think if they were going to do Venom with all of those licensing issues in the way, they should have done Secret Agent Venom and just made it like a really cool like action romp, you know, Suicide Squad style. Awesome. But the fact they tried to do Eddie Brock, and again, like I think most of us have said, Tom Hardy's an amazing actor, but this is terrible casting. He is not Eddie Brock, you know. Like they should have done Flash Thompson. They should have taken his legs and arms, and they should have done Secret Agent Venom and just made it a straight action movie, kind of like Bloodshot or something, you know, kind of tone the budget back a bit and lean into the B movie statusness of it and make it something really special out of that, you know. Make it like gritty action-packed stuff, you know.
Well, we'll see what happens with Venom 2. We'll find out what happens with Morbius as well. Again, they go out and get themselves a powerhouse actor, and we'll see what they can do with the Spider-Man villains without Spider-Man.
If I want just to address this, if Zack Snyder's Justice League has to catch an R rating, any Venom ever, period, has to catch an R rating. Because Snyder's Justice League didn't catch one for violence. It didn't catch one for nudity. It has none of those elements in it. There was one too many F-bombs, which is literally the bare minimum. Like you hear more F-bombs in some PG-13 movies. It's just for the heavy content. Like a lot of the DC animated movies catch R ratings strictly for heavy content because they don't want younger audiences that are naturally drawn to superhero franchises coming into something unexpectedly. Venom should never, ever have a PG-13 rating because it should be properly represented where it's overly heavy content. It doesn't have to be bloody and guts. It doesn't have to be gore. You don't have to have any nudity. You don't have to throw F words around, but just the content itself, just the nature of it should demand an R rating if so many of these other properties do. It makes no sense to me PG-13. Now, I don't think you need to sell a movie just on F words and nudity. That makes no sense. That's how you make a bad movie.
Right. Like Deadpool has all of that stuff minus the nudity, and a lot of people champion the fact that it was an R-rated movie. There just seems to be this groundswell where you can, if you're a filmmaker and you can get a superhero movie and make it an R-rated film, that somehow this is a plus. Personally, I don't care, but I agree with you, Mark. Like when it comes to darker anti-hero type of franchises like Venom, you kind of want to make sure that you have that R-rated banner there and kind of brag about it. Like I said, Deadpool went and got R-rated for first and the second movie. And again, I don't think we should be letting 10 to 12-year-olds watch Deadpool. The language is too much. There is a little bit of a gore, but there is heavy violence. But again, they're good adult comic book superhero movies, and it's something that you talk about afterwards. Either you love it, you hate it. I get it. But again, they are what they are. You shouldn't have to dull down your movie for PG-13 just to get a couple more ticket sales.
There was a book in the 90s. It was a novel that I read. It was called Spider-Man: The Venom Factor. And they used to pump out superhero novels all the time. I don't know if they still do as much anymore, but it takes place like with Spider-Man coming up on a grisly murder scene where people who were at like a rich person party just got savagely torn apart. When he looks at it, he's like, oh, Venom did this. And that's how it starts. And it comes to find out that it hasn't been Venom. He ends up having to work side by side with Venom to go fight Carnage. But just the nature of who Venom is and who Carnage is, it comes with that level of death, of violence, of just straight sadistic. If we have Cletus Cassidy in there, how can you do Cletus Cassidy justice without him being just, are you going to make him goofy crazy? Like, all I can think about is the Goodfellas with Joe Pesci, like funny like how, like he's going to be a joke. Think I'm a joke?
That's a great. Tell me how I'm funny. That's a great reference, man. We are off to a great start tonight, ladies and gentlemen.
Real quick,
Scorsese drops. Boom.
Let me just address this with Panda. The new Flash Thompson's goofy, but the first Flash Thompson in the best Spider-Man franchise, the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi one, was actually Joe Manganiello, who was Deathstroke in the Snyderverse. Or however you say his last name. Don't worry, Scott. I'll send you some more photos. Yeah, imagine Constantine with Keanu Reeves PG-13. Yeah, would it make sense? That movie's not heavy-handed. They don't go heavy on the R-rated elements. They just play the character out naturally. And he's even toned back significantly from the comics.
Mm-hmm. I still would argue with anyone. I thought Constantine was a solid movie, even though it does differ greatly from the source material. And if you listen to Alan Moore, it's an absolute hot piece of trash. But from what it was, Alan Moore doesn't like it. But I think Constantine was a solid film, and they had great actors in it too. That actor who played Satan.
Yes.
I know he was in Prison Break, and he's been in some other things.
Peter Samar or something. Peter.
Yeah, I thought he was just sinisterly perfect as the devil, and the twist ending, and I don't want to. For those who haven't seen, I don't want to blow it that much. It's weekends. Gabriel being the bad guy. I thought it was.
Yeah, it was awesome. Now they did.
I thought it was terrific.
They pulled heavily from like 2 different Constantine story arcs, and then just tweaked them together a little bit.
Yeah,
but it was a solid movie.
Yeah, and you don't have to be a Keanu fan to enjoy that movie either.
Yeah, I agree. Constant Death Metal. It's going to be really silly. I think it's just going to be weird. Sweet, I'm back in. Tell the man you'll send him nudes, and he's in. All right, that went on longer than I was hoping for. Ryan was like, I don't even want to watch this movie.
All right, let's talk some Canadian content.
You want
to straight for the Great North.
Real quick, just show off your haul real quick, Chris. Go flip through your books. Let's
for real? Okay.
Yeah.
So this past Wednesday was really good. So picked up the last ride. I heard that. My hot pick from last Sunday. 2 cool guys, 2 hot picks, a show that Mark and I share together. My pick was Time Before Time, which turned out to be a very good book. Spider Shadow, again, delivered. Chip Zdarsky. Since we're talking about hot trash, Giant Size, Amazing Spider-Man. Giant Size, Nick Spencer needs to leave ASM. ASAP.
A lot of acronyms.
Right.
I mean, here's another one, OMG. Superman.
Little Superman. I did spend a little bit of life savings here.
Nice.
Batman, European detective.
Not just any detective.
Wonder Woman.
In my mind, Wonder Woman starts next week.
Silver Coin.
Oh wow, that's a wicked cover.
Yeah. Kelly Thompson is a very, very good writer. I'll let Ryan fill in the blanks for this one.
Disclaimer.
Thank you. Proctor Valley Road. Something I think everyone should be picking up. A book that I'm not going to get into because Mark hates too much.
No, you can talk about it.
And I did manage to get my hands on the 1 in 50 foil.
Oh, snap.
Ooh,
So I got to flex a little bit, guys.
fancy.
So yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah. I saw Mark got himself one, so I had to do the same thing.
The glare variant.
Yeah, the glare variant, the art glare, not art germ, but the art glare. So that's my haul. That's probably in the neighborhood of about 65 to 70 Canadian, minus the 1 in 50.
Ryan, what'd you pick up this week or read this week? I know you do a mixture of floppy and digital.
No, I'm pretty physical this week.
Boom.
Nice.
Yes,
I
sir.
think the only thing that I read digitally this week was Time Before Time because I forgot to grab it. Boom, boom, boom.
That is a
American
sweet
manga.
cover.
That's a nice cover.
Yeah.
That's a nice
Dude,
cover.
when I first saw that cover, just because of the way that the clouds are drawn, I was like, wait, who did that? Because I was thinking that might be a Daniel Warren Johnson cover at first, but
Yeah, I feel it because even like the buildings at the bottom and stuff, like I don't, my camera quality sucks, but I mean they're real like scratchy in his style, you know.
yeah.
Boom,
Yeah.
loving the Superman. What are they called? Cardstock variants.
Yeah. In Huck Lee's doing them all so far, right?
I believe so. Scout Honor number 5.
And that one wrapped up, you said?
Yeah, that was the finale this week. And it was very conclusive in its ending. I hope we don't get more of it. It was great, but I'm not really into sequels like that. This is the Magic the Gathering number 2 Planeswalker variant, I think is what they're calling them. But they have like a cover over them, and they're in a bag, you know, so you have to open them to reveal it, kind of like the trading card game booster packs. Picked up something special this week.
Boom.
Now
Yeah.
that the video's out, I can share this in my hauls.
You said halls plural. Like we're going to be seeing a lot
Plural.
of that book, I bet. For the next
Well,
2
more
weeks,
to the
every
point that I
video.
think I've talked about my haul like what 4 times this week already or something.
It's true.
So like every day I've woken up since Tuesday, I've been showing off the books I got. And then if you were watching Friday afternoon, and I'm gonna mess this up, but I'm giving away one of these covers, whatever the winner chooses. So check out the video behind this and make sure you comment #Dino Thrashers. And I'm gonna throw in a couple of other really impressive, independent, unique indie comics as well. So whoever wins will get one of these covers plus a couple of other books I really like.
Get a second, Ryan. Feel free to drop the link to that into the chat so people to go over there and tag it for watch later.
All right, Mark, what you got?
So I picked up that second print Gleason Man thing.
Very nice.
Spider Shadow. Did you get that, Chris?
I got it.
Okay. I don't know if I've ever seen it.
Second book.
7. Yeah. Geiger. Disclaimer.
Say it, Ryan. Say it. Thank you.
Disclaimer.
You haven't seen the PDQ. 7 Secrets. Fire. Love that book. Gotham.
Great cover.
Batman the Detective. Superman. Justice League Last Ride. A swinging home run. Yeah.
Excellent.
Rorschach number 8, which was really fun. And then Joker number 3. And then Joker number 3 Stat Gem variant, aka the 409K variant.
Very nice.
All right, Chris. What are we talking first? Do you want to go straight out of the gate with Last Ride?
You want to go Last Ride? Little Canadian content?
Yep.
I got to plug it, guys. I got to plug it.
Let's get your points out of the way.
Such a tiny little country, you know, they need recognition
Savage.
whenever they can find it.
Second largest country on the planet. First in your hearts.
Do you count the land that's frozen?
We count all the land, whether it's frozen or not. Anything north of the 49 is ours.
Okay. Do you claim in Alaska now?
You got that wasn't ours to begin with. That's a transaction you guys did on your own.
We're not going to talk about that. That
Wow.
or Hawaii.
yeah, so I believe this was this was Mark's hot pick last week.
Yes, most definitely. And I feel like if anybody picked this book up on my recommendation, which was not on a spec by recommendation, but a pure story content by, there's no way you were let down. Not
Right.
a chance.
Is there spec heat behind this book right now? If there is, I'm not
I hope
aware of
not.
it.
Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
I haven't heard anything on it.
No, I was going to say that I would find that surprising, other than the fact that it is pound for pound a very good story. Like it shows, it starts off with Superman having a bad dream, or pardon me, reminiscing about his life, and then crawling into bed with Lois, and it appears that Kal-El does sleep naked, for those that are curious.
Yeah, it's important.
It almost seems like
It
that's
seems
a
like
little
a
bit of
Zdarskyism.
or a Tynism, thrown in there. But Superman has a bad dream, and you can tell that he's still struggling. And throughout the entire comic book, there's references to Superman appearing tired, and even so much so that Superman himself says, "I feel tired." So you can tell that there's something that's holding down the Man of Steel in the back of his mind. It wakes up after his bad dream, he gets summoned to meet up with the rest of the Justice League, and Wonder Woman and the Flash are there waiting for him. And it turns out, after Batman shows up, and Batman's just sour as hell, that the Green Lantern Corps have got their hands on Lobo, and they're afraid of. They basically want to hide Lobo out on Earth, so they're asking the Justice League to keep an eye on Lobo, because they're afraid that, Lobo being Lobo, and everyone else that's after Lobo is going to do something about the fact that Lobo is now available. And Batman decides that he wants nothing to do with this, that this is a cosmic political thing. It doesn't belong necessarily on Earth, and he doesn't want anything to do with it, so he feels that he's needed back in Gotham. Well, Superman is not happy with the fact that Batman up and leaves and deserts on the Justice League. When Batman goes to deal with the trials and tribulations that he has to deal with back in Gotham City, which is Mr. Freeze, who apparently is holding very rich people hostage for ransom, Batman shows up to do something about it. Well, Superman crashes said party, gives Mr. Freeze just a one right-handed knock to the face, and that's the end of Mr. Freeze.
We need to talk.
And that's when Superman essentially says to Batman, "We need to talk," and it goes from there.
Like that moment, because you realize like how hard Batman's constantly fighting in his city to deal with what his city has to offer, and Superman just flies down out of nowhere, just unannounced, swings his hand one time, and gets to the business that matters to him. Like, we need to talk real quick. And people might say, well, why doesn't he do that regularly? But in Batman Superman here recently, Batman addressed it when Clark came into Gotham unannounced, and how destabilized it makes Gotham. Like, when people would realize Superman's there, it actually causes more problems really fast with the population and the crime there than either one of them would be able to help. It's not he's better off letting Batman go at his own city than trying to help. And I thought that was cool. So it's got to be important, like having known that knowledge about the dynamic of their partnership, knowing that he just comes in unannounced, depths one of his villains just because this business is more important, had a lot of weight when I read it.
Yeah, it does end very well with Batman essentially saying to Superman, like, essentially Superman says to Batman the reason why he's so upset, and damn you, Batman, it's because you killed John. And that they're trying to address it. Superman admits to Batman by saying, "I'm so tired," and calls him Bruce to try and drive home the point that this is serious. Like, he's trying to talk to him like they're brothers, the way that they really are.
Arguing like brothers.
Right. And in the end, Batman turns to him and says, the only way that this is going to work, as soon as I read it, I thought to myself, Mark must be fist pumping. The only way they're going to deal with this is if they, quote unquote, need to go back to Apocalypse. And I thought,
you missed a couple of key points on why, though.
Yes, I'll let you fill that in. But as soon as I saw the word Apocalypse, I was like, yep, This is why Mark loves Chip Zdarsky. That's why Mark is going to make this his hot pick every month that it comes out, because we now have the opportunity.
I'm going to try to switch it up.
Right.
I'm going to try to switch it up.
This is why we're now going to have a great Justice League last ride with the Justice League that we all know and familiar with. We are going to get a taste of the Green Lantern Corps. We are going to get the taste of Lobo, and most importantly, Darkseid is.
You got to be. And I was all right. I was talking about this in the chat on with the blasting and stashing guys, and I heard Joe talk about this. I've mentioned it before, but I think that this is going to be the filler, like how we're getting a lot of like current to future state filler stuff. A lot of stories are heading the future state direction, and in the future state time era, the Justice League team was the second gen team, and they talked about the OG team, like how great they were and how they're disbanded, this great tragedy. I think that this book is going to be that great tragedy.
Yeah.
And when they said John, like I was thinking to myself, they said that so like just blasé like, and there's numerous Johns, but you know, John Kent is alive and well in future state. And so I'm thinking it's got to be John Jones. It's got to be the Martian Manhunter. I don't remember if they called him that directly, but Batman.
Didn't they say John Jones?
I don't remember. I just remember John.
It's Jonn. So that
did it have the
okay, the apostrophe was in there. Yeah. So J'Onn. So I was presuming that it was the Martian Manhunter.
Okay, so I'm glad that's clarified for me. But it was really cool that that like you said, Superman's just tired of the job. He's getting a little old for the job. Just his bones are tired, wore out from it. But when it gets down to it, it just kind of introduced us to this really familiar cast of characters that everybody knows. But what I love so much is we're meeting them all in such unfamiliar territory where it looks like Batman, whether it was on purpose and inadvertently, he accidentally broke his one rule, you know, like he's on the hook for getting one of their closest friends killed. We have Superman unsure of himself and not wanting to keep going. We have Wonder Woman babysitting, and the Green Lantern Corps is all split up, and they all show up in like pants and sweaters and hoodies and stuff, and they've got the main man in prison. They got Lobo, and they're asking for the Justice League's help to hide Lobo because he killed the new gods. Not a new god, the new gods. So the new gods, like that kind of, I'm like, no, no, not the new gods. I know he didn't kill Mr. Miracle because he would escape. That's a given. If we find out that he killed Scott-Free, which would make sense too, because in future state, Scott-Free is not Mr. Miracle, it's Simon. So maybe that explains that. We get a new black racer in future state, a female one. So we get introduced to a lot of new God cast members. But I vaguely remember Orion was in future state. And if you read the John Stewart Green Lantern story, where the Green Lanterns have no power anymore, except we come to find out Hal did, and he runs into Far Sector Green Lantern, just at the last page cliffhanger thing. But when John Stewart was with the Corps trying to still peacekeep, they were fighting this invading force that worshiped this red god that they never met. So he contacts Orion and has him projection boom tube down to present himself as their deity to call them off. So we know Orion is still around. And I thought about this after blasting and stashing the other night, because I said in the chat that I want someone to come for Lobo that it's got to be someone that's formidable, because who can really stand up against Lobo? Like very few people really can. Like he's alpha level character here.
Yeah.
So I would want to see obviously Darkseid in this, but thinking outside of Darkseid, Orion, like that's the only person who you could send on a vengeance mission. He's supposed to be like the equal opposite to Darkseid in the original run stuff. It's Orion versus Darkseid. And, you know, as he gets older, he starts looking more and more like his dad. He grows into his power. And that was one thing with the Snyder Cut, the flashback Darkseid thing. We know that from the comics with Orion. Like, Orion doesn't even look like Darkseid, but as he gets older, check Kingdom Come, he looks just like his dad. Like, they grow into that power. So it would be cool if Orion comes for Lobo, I think.
Right.
Yeah. So in Future State Justice League, we find out that the Justice League failed because somebody was able to exploit their personal connections over their work connections, you know? And so that's why I feel like this story, like you said, like he specifically calls him Bruce and not Batman in that moment. And it's definitely their personal problems that are getting in their way of accomplishing the mission at hand right now, you know? It's very like focused on their personal lives, even while they're in their superhero roles. So I feel like that does kind of drive things toward that future state that we know. My only thing is DC presented future state as possible futures. But, so far they've pretty much been on track to hit every one of those future state books that we saw. So at some point somebody's going to have to like call their card, like, are all of these just going to end up, and you were telling us that to make sure we went ahead and bought them, or are some of these actually going to diverge? And so it makes me think like seems like it's headed where Future State Justice League was, but also could this be the curveball one where they're going to misdirect and make us believe that's where they're headed, and then we get this hard turn. So I'm excited. I mean, y'all pretty much hit the nail on the head with everything about how and why this is an exciting run, but that's kind of how I'm projecting the future. Either it's going to be on track and, we're going to have to call their bluff, or that's going to give them a great opportunity to let Zdarsky do a out of left field sort of play on it.
Dude, how cool would that be? Because we've been talking about it on the channel, where there's no way that DC is taking the current continuity to an inevitable future state finale. We've already seen how it ends. We can only go so far, and the stories have to start deviating. But we're still being introduced to some of the characters, like Yara Flores just now hitting shelves next week, but she's really the last one we're waiting on, I feel like. We've got the next Batman and all the other big properties. Aquaman's daughter's not even like of age yet, so that character would be down the road. But as far as like the 2025 to 2020 to 2030 year range that we were working with the future state, we've got them all except Yara. So it's time to deviate. That would be cool if they allow Zdarsky to be the architect of like the main continuity direction. If they let him make the deviation shift, I think that would be a good writer for it.
Yeah, well, because right now they're using like very established people to architect this thing. Names like Williamson have been around the block, and while he's still a great writer, like, you look at somebody like Zdarsky and you see that he's like bringing fresh new ideas, and he might not be in his youth necessarily at this age. He knows how to tap into something that's really drawing new eyes and younger readers that are really excited about what he's doing. And at the same time, like when you listen to people talk about like his Daredevil run, like these are vets that are in love with this run because it's doing something a little bit different than what they've seen before, So if you think about the older architects establishing Infinite Frontier and then letting Zdarsky come in and kind of architect some new energy into it and stuff like that, I think that's how they're going to maintain the old readers and bring in a younger, newer audience.
That's a solid point, because he really is a writer that kind of plays to across the board to all the readers. Because like you can go to someone like Cates and he's hyped up, but there's a lot of split and division amongst like the people, how they take us up. But Zdarsky across the board, everyone is just thinks he's solid writing, and the best example of that with is how the franchise is being handled right now over at Marvel, where Nick Spencer is just writing garbage, and there's not a great Spider-Man title since Life Story until they did Spider Shadow with Chip Zdarsky.
Well done, sir. Well done.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
we're not going to take this from you. Go ahead, buddy.
You're segueing beautifully like you did a couple weeks ago.
Back on track.
So yeah, this is a book that collectively I feel that was well received through the comic community. Spider Shadow issue #1 through the What If banner. What if Peter Parker didn't give up the symbiote, and what if Eddie Brock didn't get it? What if Peter held on to it? And it delves very quickly right from where the first one left off to Peter developing this sinister side, where the moral code of great responsibility is something that's being struggled with and essentially tossed right out the window. Right when he crashes through the window of J. Jonah Jameson and then breaks his hand. Just fed up, sick and tired of the Daily Bugle ripping Spider-Man apart, questioning if he's authentic, calling him a villain, that he's a vigilante, he's not helping the police, blah blah blah. And Peter finally had enough after killing the Hobgoblin in the first issue, something that through the first couple of pages Peter is still struggling with the fact that he can't believe he did it. However, he's trying to balance it through the idea that, well, May died, so he had So it was okay, and that's the symbiote putting that thought process into Peter's mind that it's okay that you killed a hobgoblin. Look what he did to Aunt May. Well, the real Peter Parker still wouldn't have taken the hobgoblin's life. With that said, Peter notices that the Daily Bugle is ripping him apart on the cover. Pardon me, ripping Spider-Man apart on the cover of the newspaper, and he decides to do something about it. So he literally crashes through J. Jonah Jameson's window and attacks him. In the new look of the black suit, he's looking more and more like a tarantula or something, with the face having fangs, and puts him into a wall, and then breaks his right hand by crushing it. And from there, the story shifts over to Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four, seeing what Peter's going through and still trying to develop a way to help Peter, a way to get the symbiote off of Peter's body. But Reed Richards quickly realizing that the symbiote is merging with Peter's consciousness now and is taking over the thought process. And the story just delves darker and darker after running with MJ, where MJ walks into Peter's bedroom. Instead of Peter sleeping on the bed, the symbiote is essentially holding him above the bed, hovering around with just tentacles going everywhere. From there, Peter decides to go web slinging after the confrontation with MJ, just to clear his mind. As we all know, Peter always says that he feels most like himself when he's web slinging through the streets of New York. It's a good way for him to clear his mind and, get away from the issues of money, relationship, and family, where he starts to get attacked by the Shocker and the Scorpion, who were put on him by the Kingpin, because the Kingpin a couple pages earlier decided that, well, since Spider-Man is now taking lives, that he needs to be, or that everyone needs to be put on notice and take Spider-Man out. Enough's enough. Kill him before he kills you. And he's essentially scared that Peter will come looking for the Kingpin as well. Well, it wasn't much, but Spider-Man kills both the Shocker and the Scorpion, and
not even nicely.
No, it's just
rips them to pieces.
Quick devastation, and quickly finds out that it was the Kingpin that sent the Shocker and the Scorpion after him. And so Peter decides to pay him a visit in full symbiotic form, and literally drops body parts of both Scorpion and Kingpin at the feet of the Kingpin, and then turns around and, not with a right hand, but with a left hand, takes the Kingpin's life.
I didn't even pay attention to that.
Right, but yeah.
Is he even left-handed?
That part I don't know, but if Superman's dropping rights, I got to point out the fact that Spider-Man's dropping lefts.
Spider-Man's a southpaw, huh?
That's right. From there, the story switches to a part that I quickly enjoyed immensely even more. It shifted to the fact that Sinister Six are now coming together with a plan. They're witnessing what's happening on the streets of New York, and they realize that Spider-Man will eventually come for them, but they need to come together with a plan. And who do they pick to lead the plan? No other than Kraven the Hunter.
Kraven the Hunter.
And most Spider-Man fans have a great deal of respect for Kraven the Hunter. And so all the members of the Sinister Six, all the members of the Sinister Six seem to have a quick cameo in this book. Near the end of the book, big spoiler alert, Dr. Octopus, who is behind the shadows, kind of controlling Sinister Six into going down the path that Kraven wants. Well, one of Doc Ock's henchmen stabs him in the back. Looks like it's killing him, and when the mask is pulled off, it's revealed to be Eddie Brock, and that's where Spider Shadow continues into issue number 3. Eddie Brock is now on the scene of this excellent What If story.
It was absolutely fantastic. A couple of key moments for me is when it opens up, we're in Peter's consciousness with him talking to the symbiote like we've seen in the first issue. And I like the fact that when he's talking to him, they're addressing the cliche, of the whole with great responsibility comes great power. And the symbiote immediately asks him, well, what is that responsibility? And have you ever taken that concept and actually questioned it? Have you checked your epistemology on that? What is your responsibility with that? And he says, to save people, to keep them safe. And the symbiote says, well, are you doing it? Gwen's dead. Captain Stacy's dead. May's dead. So are you really upholding that responsibility? And that's what did it. When I'm like, dude, what an awesome angle to take. Like,
Right.
because I'm a big fan of like challenging my own epistemology as well as others. It's really a blast. Why do we believe the things that we believe? Do I have a valid reason for it? Sometimes we believe correct things for incorrect reasons, even. So it's really good to check your epistemology. So I thought that was fantastic. That's how they took this with that dueling personality. Another thing that I thought was fantastic was when he came to face the Kingpin. The Kingpin started doing the classic villain monologuing, and Spider-Man just as soon as he got in arm's reach of him while he's monologuing, he didn't slow down. Just boom, just caved his entire head in. So I thought that was perfect. So it was just again showing us just how outside of the normal stereotype of these characters this really was. So that it was just great through and through. Seeing how dark it's going with him. We did find out that Spider-Man sleeps naked because we are keeping checks. Ghostmaker sleeps naked, and with numerous people, Superman sleeps naked, Spider-Man sleeps naked, flesh on symbiote, of course, and he sleeps suspended. He's into that weird suspended stuff. So it was a fantastic read for me as well. I cannot recommend this book enough. I did notice that there's an advertisement in it where they're talking about giant-sized X-Men dropped 50 years ago, but now we're going to get planet-sized X-Men for all you specumulators out there. You know that giant-sized X-Men is a key book to end all key books, so don't miss out on this book. It's going to be worth millions. You'll be able to retire in 6 months from the time it drops. So,
Mark, you can put all your children through college. Make sure you get the variants for that book, man.
I'm just going to get the cover A. That's all you'll need.
Ryan, you too, man. You too. Healthcare is not cheap, from what I hear. So yeah.
No, nowhere apparently. Right? So, Ryan,
nowhere.
Real quick, I know you were quiet on this one. You didn't pick these up yet, have you, or started reading these? I know you said if it's good enough by the end of it, you might go back and check it out. So far, it's looking like you're going to have to, my man. This is breaking the mold. This is Zdarsky in 2 issues delivered more in these 2 than he did on the life story, which is really a what if on Spider-Man's life story. But it is so nice to see the franchise of a big company actually being handled with respect, with reverence, because even though he's outside of his normal lane, they're doing it correctly. They're breaking his lane in a way that the fans feel it. You're actually emotionally tied to this, and you're hurting for Peter. So it's nice to see the franchise handled correctly. And I can't say that enough also over at DC, where Philip Kennedy Johnson's doing it.
Well done.
Nice.
Well done. Well done.
All right, Ryan, this one's you, buddy.
I just wish we knew what segues were coming before they got here.
I don't even know.
It's just a flow, man. It's just a flow.
It's natural. What is up, TM Nerdy Station, brother?
So, I mean, we've talked a bit about how, like, the art on this is kind of, it's not necessarily bad. It's just, 1, not really that fitting for Superman, and 2, subpar to what we just got in Action Comics. So it just feels worse than it really is. So I don't want to, like, sit here and, like, hate on the art a bunch. So that's kind of where I think we're all at on that one. Is it's just not quite as good as what we just got.
Yeah.
Story writing wise, I think it's still just like slaps. Like he's so good at this. So this is part 2 of a story that we had before. Clark and Jonathan have went to another planet. I believe Mark said that this is actually kind of mined from a golden or silver age story or something. But they go to this planet and they're dealing with kind of a hive mind symbiote sort of thing that can infect these alien creatures. And it's very good at presenting a poker face. So it's given them this whole story of what all's happened. And in this issue, they're finding out none of what they thought was true. Like everything, they've been one step behind on everything. And I think what makes this issue really cool to me is, like, you know, we're starting to drive Jonathan and Clark apart. Not that they don't like each other, but like there's a device here that's kind of physically making Jonathan try to stand on his own. Yeah. Take those lessons that he's been learning. And so he goes off with one of the aliens. Clark goes off in the other direction. And that's where we get a lot of this stuff with Jonathan, where we're kind of finding out how he views his dad and how the world, like Earth, views his dad versus how he sees him, you know, and that he kind of reveals in this that he wants to think of his dad, or he often thinks of his dad in the same way as like the regular humans on Earth, but he's kind of like coming around to the idea like, no, his dad is somebody different to him than other people. We see him use a kind of a new ability or a modification, kind of his own usage of the eye beams. So that was cool. But where it really gets good to me is when you start to realize that the Clark Kent narration is kind of him, like, I don't know, like realizing that fatherly thing. Like, you know, we've always seen like Superman kind of knows where Lois is because he knows her heartbeat, you know. And in this one, he picks up on Jonathan's heartbeat, and that's what kind of makes him realize what all's going on around him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And at the same time that Clark is realizing that he's basically stepped into a trap, Jonathan's realizing something similar and is on his way, you know. And it's a well laid trap. Like by the time that Clark realizes what's going on, it's too late for him to save himself. And so it all comes down to Jonathan being able to save his dad, and we don't know how it's going to go with that.
I like the couple key moments because you did a great just breakdown of it. But Chris just showed that page when because he's at the point now where Superman's slowly losing his powers. That's been addressed already with that attack from the breach. He's slowly losing his powers, and he's hasn't really come full out in the open about it, full transparency with Jonathan, but he is making sure that he's kind of pushing him out there a little bit and just seeing how much faith he has in the fact that he knows Jonathan's going to have to step up. And when they're both getting overpowered, it's Jonathan who gets away. Clark is still in danger. So we're getting the first moment in the Philip Kennedy Johnson run where Superman needs to be saved, and it's going to take Superman to do it. It's going to take Jonathan, Superman. Here's his proving moment, really, you know? So we have him.
It's his coming of age.
Yes. Like we're seeing him alongside his dad, and we're seeing him doing the things that his dad wants him to do, but his dad's still been right there. Clark's still been right there. Now
he's like supervising.
Now he's not. And let me tell you what, that scene when he explodes out of that little citadel, and it's just that red streak through the sky, and you see that dialogue, and Clark says, "That was the moment when I heard your heartbeat, John. When I heard my little barn swallow tearing across the sky." I'm like, okay, that's the moment I want you to remember, son. I'm like, geez. Like, I'm like, golly, and that face that Jonathan's making, he's just a blur. Like I'm coming for you, Dad. That's exactly how Clark acts. That's exactly what he does. So I'm just seeing him fill those shoes perfectly. Like anyone who watches the channel knows I'm very pro Jonathan, and they're writing him so well. Like he's delivering. And like you mentioned, another big one was the little differences. We're getting he is not his dad. Like power-wise, they're very similar, but there's going to be differences. So we saw that he was able to shoot his heat beams, but focus them in on the water molecules in the air and hit like a very specific thing and just blow it up, like make it have a pop in midair. So that was really cool. And wait a minute. Did I hit 800 subscribers? Okay, cool. Well, that's awesome if I did. Let's see. Yeah, it's at 800 right now. 800 on the dot. Man, thank y'all so much.
Congratulations, brother.
Yeah.
Oh, easy, man, easy.
What'd you say?
It's 7:90 in the morning.
Yeah, probably will. That's why I'm kind of hesitant. But those were a couple of cool moments. Just seeing him come into fresh powers, just to remind us that he is not his dad. He does have things that are going to be new and exciting, and just to see him really stepping up and to get the complete flip and reversal there of who needs help and not. So it was definitely solid for that aspect too.
Yeah, I mean, touching on that page too that you were reading the narration of and everything, like it's a kind of become a signature on the Philip Kennedy Johnson experience at this point because let me show that again. You know, in Action Comics, we talked about that scene where he calls out, you know, and then Jonathan shows up, but you hear like the sonic boom and everything. Yes. And again, on this page, like the imagery and the way that Philip Kennedy Johnson wrote that narration, that dialogue, like you can hear things coming off of this page, you know, like you hear when he comes through that roof and you hear him tearing across the sky. Like that kind of phrasing just like drives imagery home, you know. And so I think that's something else that I think is so good about his writing is he's describing what you're seeing, but he's describing it in a different way than you're seeing. He's not just telling you what you're looking at. He's giving more like texture and life to what you're looking at.
It's something that the three of us have touched on for the better part of 3 months, is that Superman needs a good writer, and we finally have him. So
yes,
it's about time that we push this. It's about time they push the main or the original franchise back to the forefront. Superman needs to be top three sales DC book. Yeah,
it's sad to see how many Batman titles we have that don't have as much passion put into them as the Superman book does.
Right.
Like, and he's carrying 2 titles equally awesome, and now they're even deviating story wise and artist wise. And dude, I still stand by that last issue of Action Comics being like the best book, the best individual single comic I've read all year long on its own as an individual issue, hands down. Like, it's insane what Philip Kennedy Johnson's doing. I'm going to go back and read the Alien books just knowing that he's writing it at this point.
Yeah. The other thing I'll point out about this is something we've been touching on since like Superman 29 and Action Comics, whatever. Like, all of what we just described, like, we broke down this whole story and all we talked about was all the stuff between Jonathan and Clark. Mm-hmm. But there's actually action in here. Like, there's tons of fighting and things going on.
It's actually a nonstop book.
It was.
It's a nonstop book. Nonstop Superman.
Like, Philip Kennedy Johnson's so good at putting the focus on the he's so good at putting the focus on the character interactions that all the action happens in the background, and never once do you feel like it's not happening though, like it's all there. It's just fodder for the character development that we're getting right there in front of us,
E-Man wants to know, is DC too late on capitalizing the whole Jonathan Kent's view of his relationship with Clark? We have Invincible and Jupiter's Legacy that show a torn relationship in a family. And I would say no, because both, doesn't matter how good Invincible or Jupiter's Legacy are, they're not Superman. So go, next time you're in Walmart, ask that question to a stranger. And they're going to be like, I don't know what Invincible or Jupiter's Legacy is, but they can tell you Superman is. So I think it's just the difference in, it doesn't matter who does it first. If Superman does it good, it'll be what's remembered.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate side of that.
Right. And without Superman, there is no Jupiter's Legacy. There is no Invincible for that father figure, the all-being type of superhero. Without Superman, it just doesn't exist. But it's nice that it's happening, and it's nice that we actually have a great writer handling Superman, and Superman's not thinking murderous thoughts of people.
Yeah, God, John Ridley, dude, I'm about ready to boycott.
Well,
the more I think about that.
What I'll also point out is, at least what we know, for Invincible and what I know of Jupiter's Legacy, like, you still have the father figure there and stuff, which is what's going on here. But this is a story arc. This is about to be Jonathan on his own. And so it's not like we're getting like this whole long 80-issue series of him mentoring Jonathan or something. Like, this is just a story arc to set us off in different directions. And so I think that will like kind of help differentiate between Jupiter's Legacy, Invincible, anything like that, and what Superman's doing right now.
Which was cool, because if you look back at Jonathan's past, he's been mentored at a very early age by his dad, very early. Then he left with his grandfather. And then he went to the future and really came to age with the Legion. So he came back a man, like, and Clark he's just checking him. He's not training him anymore. He's just checking him. He's just like, all right. Clark is just at a level of having to accept it. There's no work to be done by Clark. Just, are you going to be able to accept this? Well, you don't have a choice. You're going to have to deal with it till you do accept it.
He also got mentored by Damian in Action Comics.
He also got what?
Mentored by Damian in Action Comics.
That friendship, dude. That Super Sons friendship. It's just amazing. And like, it looks like the Super family, you have to be hit with a lot of hard truths. And I saw this video today that kind of made me go look at this other channel, and it's these younger kids that are like reviewing comics and stuff. And they did a video on why I hate Superman and explaining how he's so invincible and he's so perfect and no one can relate to him. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, dude, y'all need to go read Superman. Because just like I've said time and time before, like, all the people that critique Superman on that level, they don't read Superman. Like, this is a horribly torn character. Can you imagine having that level of responsibility? You literally hear everybody's screaming for you every day of the week, and only being able to do certain things about it. Like, can you think of a more torn scenario to live life like? It's just, and to be trying to raise a kid that you know that he's going to have to like live up to some kind of world savior, messiah level character, and to really instill in him a code that he can live by to balance those things. Like, are you serious? I'd rather be Batman.
It's almost just the misinformed coming up with an opinion without dealing with any type of source material outside of a cartoon or a bad movie.
Man of Steel was even torn. My God, he couldn't even establish a home.
For those that hate on Man of Steel, that just call it something that's not Superman. Superman doesn't kill. You need to remember what Kal-El was dealing with in that particular moment. He's dealing with his adopted planet, and the fact that both of his fathers said you need to take care of these people, where his own Kryptonian family, General Zod, was literally about to kill these people that both his fathers tasked on him. And he begged and pleaded with Zod in those few moments, stop, please stop. And in the end, he had to do what he felt was right, because he knew after going pound for pound, fist for fist for a better part of 20 minutes, there's just no getting out of this. This man is here to destroy this planet that both my dads have said, you need to take care of these people. One way they will worship you, another way they will join you. He did what he had to do.
Zod sooner. How many people in that city died because he didn't do that sooner, because he was trying to find another way?
Right.
Zod's target was that city as well as Clark.
It was like Zack Snyder and whomever, was his writing partner for the Man of Steel.
David S.
Nailed them. They nailed it. They nailed it with one scene. You got it. How much destruction happened to Metropolis before enough was enough, and and in the end he was still begging and pleading with them to stop. And that people need to realize that just because Superman's not a brooding character, and somehow the moniker the Big Blue Boy Scout is all of a sudden some sort of negative term, they need to realize that Superman, without Superman, collectively we may not even be talking today. I've made that comment before. Like, we need to realize how special this character is. You need to embrace him. You need to point out the bad writers, and in this case the bad artists as well, who did take Superman in negative ways, and they don't hold him up to the core values, and realize that he's every day trying to be the best that he can, help the human race while maintaining a family, maintaining a relationship with Lois Lane, retaining a relationship with his son, and try and steer him down the right path to do the right thing, the way that both of his fathers put in him. It's no joke, but you know what is a joke?
Yes.
Nailed it.
Yes. Chris got one in.
Boom.
It's Mark's show, but I had to. I'm sorry.
Part of this too. Keep them coming. Sad
again. Why is Tynan doing better work with this than what he is with the franchise title? But again, let's not go down that road.
I don't know. Yeah.
Mark, what did you think?
I thought it was fun to start off with a Naked Jim. Just breaking down the plot, we have Jim just reminiscing on how bad the Joker messed him up emotionally. He's trying to make him have that one bad day back in the Killing Joke. Lets us readers know that no matter what it looked like the outcome of that book was, he's still scarred from those events. Remembering what happened to himself, what happened to Barbara, the Joker still haunts him. So he meets up with what's her name, Cressida, and she puts him on a plane, reminds him of his spending limit, reminds him of his moral code, because he makes a comment of, I can just run off with all this money. He said, yeah, you can, but we trust you, basically. So he hops on the plane and he heads down to South America. He ain't going to Belize or Brazil. Where's he going? Brazil.
I thought it was Brazil. Yep.
I think Brazil. Doesn't matter. He's going to some comic book country that really exists because it's a real place. And he gets down there, and on his way down there, we see that the Hannibal Lecter family from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is also on the way, murdering people on the way. We see that Bane's daughter is also on the way by boat, so she'll definitely get there way after everybody else. She's going by plane. And then he is down there and it gets good once he gets there. It gets really good. We see him doing some hard lining detective work. Like you actually see the mentality of a detective, how it kind of breaks down finding people, how you don't need direct answers, and people don't realize how much information they're really giving up inadvertently before you even know what question you're really going for. So it was cool seeing that because you can have one of those Rom V moments where you feel like the writer did their due diligence on their material. So I really appreciated that because it gives me perspectives that I wouldn't think. I'm not a detective. And he gets down to this house to ask some questions. He's knocking on the door, dialoguing about how he still has a long time before he really has to figure out if he's going to kill the Joker or take him in, and how he's torn with what he wants to do, how better the world will be, or how broken up he could potentially be, and how he can ruin his relationship with Baz if he does that. And who opens the door? None other than Mr. J. And he pulls a gun on Joker. Of course, Joker loves it and points out to him, like, look, Jimbo, you can kill me now, or we can fight all these people that have got us surrounded together. So it's come to that inevitable head where we kind of called it was going to come to,
Yep.
but it's last getting there.
It's yeah.
There's the breakdown of it.
I got to point out the interior artist, I believe, is Gilliam March. Yeah, Gilliam March.
Fantastic.
Fantastic work and very well done with that quiet homage to Brian Boland's Killing Joke. I as someone who's I know I'm a little bit older than what you guys are, but I can remember when the Killing Joke was released, that DC paraded around, this is just a one-shot book. This is not canon. This is just a one-shot thing. Enjoy it for what it is, and we're going to keep reprinting the hell out of this book because it is a seminal piece of writing, and Brian Boland's work is good too. But it's funny that, like,
Point for us.
I'm sorry, but that's better than every Canadian joke I've thrown at you in the last week.
Scott knocking him down.
Man.
I'm sorry, are you still reading it? Going to buy a piece of Archie art from Canada. It's, I think, after the exchange rate, they're going to pay me to take it. Oh, that broke
you a small refund.
I'm so sorry, man. I'm so sorry. I read it. I couldn't help it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Killing Joke, it's now canon. Whereas they used to say it's not. But yeah, so yeah. I didn't know that there was Archie artwork here. There is a lot of now that it comes to mind. Stadium Comics does get a lot of Archie exclusives.
Yeah. Well, Scott collects original art pieces as well. He's got some really cool stuff. He also has a YouTube channel where he shows off a lot of that cool stuff, a bunch of Golden Age stuff. He's doing pressing videos right now. Really cool dude.
Yeah. That was pretty good.
What's up, Superpower Review? Thanks for stopping by. What are some of the highlight moments for y'all from Joker?
I appreciate, because in the first one, we had a lot of like crazy horror-esque Joker imagery. And then the second one, a lot of that was missing. And I feel like this one kind of brought that back. You get, especially this first little section at the beginning, you get a lot of like Joker larger than life at the top of the stairs, looking down on everyone, being like this big figure in the background, you know? So I thought it was nice to see that come back. I kind of mentioned, like, I was worried that this was going to turn into like defending the Joker while everybody just shows up to try to kill him. And because that's pretty much what the end of number 2 set up. And so I was a little concerned where 3 was going to take that, but they totally go straight into slowing it down and doing like actual detective work, something that's nice to see in a Batman family-ish book, you know? So I thought it was really cool. I love the way that Gordon actually explains like what all he's going through. And I also like the way he interacts with the other characters. He's like, well, what if I do this? What if I do that? You know, and it gives those characters the opportunity to tell him, like, no, we already know what you're going to do. And that's kind of like setting a path for some kind of big surprise to happen, because they're telling us, like, this is Jim Gordon that you know. You can trust him because he's always done this and you know him this well. And so that kind of leaves the door open for a pretty big surprise somewhere down the road.
I enjoyed the PTSD factor of it from the imagery from the Killing Joke. the narration through it was spectacular. Again, it just goes to show that we've been saying all along that James Tynion is an incredible writer. We're just there's something going on with the franchise title itself, because again, just through these 2 pages here alone, where Gordon arrives and he's talking to everyone and he's doing his quiet detective work, and he gets a knock on the door and open up the door, and guess what? It's Mr. J. But again, it's what we would expect from Batman, but we're not getting in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a shame.
That for me was definitely the highlight of the title. Like I mentioned, it just seemed him like kind of slow it down and get to the hard boiled detective thing, and how they were actually like putting forth the due diligence of seeing how detectives operate and the fine details of it. So I've just been really enjoying the detective aspect, as well as Batman the Detective by Tom Taylor.
Well done.
So out of all the Batman titles out there, they can all be thrown into a pile together as subpar books. But this one, 2 issues in, I'm enjoying more than the rest. Like I'm enjoying Detective Comics. I'm enjoying the Joker a lot, and I wouldn't even put Joker in the category with him. But Tom Taylor is just consistently a guaranteed fantastic read, whatever he's working on. And I thought that I wasn't going to need this. Picked it up. My LCS owner kind of just tossed one my way to check out. Thought I might want to, and I went for it. And it's really good. It's fun. There's no crazy over the top ghost elements in this one. It's just straight up Batman doing detective work, trying to get to the bottom of these people that are after. It's a bunch of people that are killing the people he saved. They think that if you're saved by Batman, you shouldn't exist. And it's a really cool concept, because looking at Batman and where he stands right now, he has no wins on his belt. He has no trophies on his shelf. The only thing he has is individual people that he might have saved from a mugging or a house fire or something. Now they're being killed for it. So we're getting into him actually doing a little operating here. He interrogates right out the bat, interrogates one of the terrorists that are after all those people, dropping him numerous times from a clock tower and catching him and then letting him go so that he can kind of track him back to his hideout. Talks to Squire for a little bit. What's the other one's name? The Knight, where she's recovering from the gunshot wound in the first one.
Yes.
So then we get back to the base of operations. This is where it got really cool in my mind. This is where we get the little insight into so they all dress in Batman costumes. They're all white.
Yeah, all white.
They're led by this chick who's just savage, because she realized that this guy shouldn't be here because he made the comment, Batman let me go. So they bust him down and find the tracker on him. And she asked him again. She said, "You almost died." And he said, "Yes, but Batman saved you." "Yes." "I mean, no." And she says, "You shouldn't exist," and just shoots him in the face. Wow.
Yeah, point blank.
So she's really committed to this "if Batman saved you" thing. You shouldn't be here. So I'm wanting to know her motive or her motivation to have that drive to kill people that Batman saved. Why is it? Because she's very hardline on it. How has she convinced these other people to participate?
Right. This is almost playing out like a full-length animated Batman adult movie. I shouldn't say adult movie, but the rated R type of Batman movie. I could see that. I could see this quickly being translated into that type of format. It's just really good. And the questions are like, who are these people? Again, like, it's just being teased. We still don't have any definitive word on why, the people in white are doing what they're doing. Obviously, someone somewhere along the line has been hard done by the bat. But again, I like to consider this book, the Batman Who Falls, because again, he seems to be just
there's a lot of falling,
taking nosedives out of whatever like second or fourth story that he seems to be finding himself in. But again, it's got good action near the end. It's well crafted. It's beautifully done. Again, for a miniseries, again, the interiors look a lot better than what Superman itself does.
Yeah,
again,
solid
it's again, like, Tom Taylor is a great writer. Like, he's crafted something outside of America that's very intriguing with Batman.
So the latter half of the book, we find Batman traveling on a train and somebody's messed with his room. So he goes exploring through the train to see what it could be, and he runs into none other than Henry Ducard, the master tracker himself. And so Batman's in his territory now, his neck of the world, and he asks him why you didn't reach out to me to help me find someone. And Batman's like, because you're a stone cold killer, and I don't want anything to do with you. So they reluctantly talk about working together to go find this chick who's running this terrorist cell. And when they part ways, Batman goes to find the guy who he's tracking because he noticed that the tracking stopped moving. He finds him dead. He looks around, sees evidence of there being a large group of people. It's not just an isolated person doing this. And then we cut over to Ducard waiting on Batman to show up for their meeting. And it looks like Batman shows up, but when we turn the page, it's none other than the terrorist chick who's been in communications with him. So they know each other. And hey.
So yeah, that was quite the twist ending where we did think it was going to be Bruce that was talking to Dakar, but in the end, like Mark just mentioned, when you flip the page, it's the female leader of the terrorist cell herself speaking to him, and in the end, puts a gun to his head. All hell kinds of breaks loose when Dakar decides to start shooting back and to shoot him up, and that's when Batman arrives on the scene, jumping out of a building. And where Dakar gets capped himself, falls off the building. Batman attempts to save him, and that's where the story ends. Yeah, it's for those that haven't picked up Batman the Detective, it's worth the read. And like I mentioned, I could see this particular limited series being the type of book that gets transferred into a larger medium, like a cartoon that's meant for adults. Mark exits stage right. Ryan, what's up next for you, my man?
Yeah, so while Batman's been over there in England doing whatever he's doing or whatever, I've been reading this book called Batman Urban Legends. So
yes.
Back in the States going on with him. And I'm not going to take y'all through this book because this is number 3. And here's what I'll tell you about this series so far. It's a $9 book or $8 book. It's got 4 different stories in each issue. The first and second issue, I would say the Red Hood story was like an 8 or 9. The Grifter story was like a 7 or 8. And then The Outsiders was probably like a 6. And the 4th story in the book has been a 2. Now, in this 3rd issue, I would say all 4 stories are like a 6 to 7 across the board. And in this particular issue, I do feel like Zdarsky kind of went in a weird direction. And Batman carries lollipops, apparently. Let's see if I can get Mark to let me show this real quick.
He's like Wu-Tang for the children, man.
For the children.
Yes. Look how creepy this Batman face is as he hands this kid a lollipop. Like,
that's pretty good.
And I don't know, like, I really like Zdarsky's writing, and he's never let us down so far, but this issue was a really weird turn in the Red Hood story because it's literally Batman just like ignoring all of his own principles and letting Jason Todd go down the exact same wrong path he went down already, you know? And so, yeah, it's a weird turn. This story really didn't sit well with me. I thought the Grifter story was still about where it's been the whole time, but this Batman story fell apart. The Outsiders wrapped up. It didn't get any better than it had already been. And in this particular issue, the 4th story is Lady Shiva. And this one was actually pretty good compared to the Harley Quinn and the Oracle stories that we got in the last 2 issues. But I don't know. After 3, I can't foresee myself ever paying $8 for these 4 stories again. It's too much. It's not a good value proposition, if you ask me. It was for a little bit, but I don't know. This 3rd issue just kind of turned real hard on me.
Now, I bailed after issue 2 of that, but Jason Todd's my boy, so I made sure to read the Jason Todd story in it, and I couldn't agree more. Like, it just didn't make sense. It didn't fit in with everything that we've had Batman and Jason Todd. Like, we just had the 3 Jokers thing that focused on that. You know, we had a lot of stuff. Anything that Jason Todd's been in recently, they've been harping on this. He's torn because of his past, and now with this book, they don't even make it his past; they're making it his present all over again. And Batman just shows up. Why do you have the boy? Oh, I shot and killed his dad. Okay, well, what do you want to do next? like, let's go play. Like, here's a lollipop. Like, what is happening?
No one's calling children's services. Like, what's going on here? That's lazy writing.
Like, I understand Jason Todd's motivation here. Like, he wants to save this kid instead of let him go into the system and get lost. So he's kind of like redoing the whole Batman thing. I totally get that aspect of it, but and in the last issue, Batman shows up, and he showed up like kind of like a kingpin or something, like it was a different kind of Batman. He's like, no, like this is my city, these are my rules. And I did enjoy Batman being there, even though I'm not really into Batman showing up everywhere right now. But that time it was a different Batman, so it was kind of nice. But then this issue, like, he's carrying around lollipops all the time, so he says, and he has like the weirdest face I've ever seen. Like, he literally looks like he's inside of a white van with the door open, like, want to come inside?
Driving
Like,
a
it's so
1989
weird.
Rare Pokemon inside.
Yeah.
You want a popsicle? But I
was been pumped for. Go ahead, Ryan. I feel it. Go for it. Do it.
I was going to say, but there is a pretty interesting Bat-related title that also ties back into an event-ish kind of thing that we really enjoyed. So
you missed the Jason Todd segue.
Oh, and it does star Jason Todd just down the road.
Those are two great covers.
Interesting connection there. Jason Todd, Red Hood, has always used guns. In the Red Hood story that we're getting in that Urban Legends, he's apparently using rubber bullets, so he's not lethal anymore, but Batman still takes an issue with him using guns, and he literally shoots the father point blank at the end of issue 1 and kills him with rubber bullets.
He knows how to make him lethal, though, yeah.
Yeah. And then in Future State, we see Red Hood is no longer using guns. He carries like a kukri on a chain with like kind of a nunchuck end on the other end, and he's pretty cool with it. So I do see a sense of progression in his character, considering Future State takes place down the road in the future, So I do think that's kind of interesting on a meta level, that we are seeing Jason Todd evolve from just like a gun-toting vigilante. The other interesting,
What's that?
The other interesting thing about this issue is that it's black and white, and not just black and white, but it's very manga style. A lot of big panels, very clean paneling, not much like crossover shots and stuff like that. But I also think that plays really well to the action in this book. Like, the action is very explosive because of the high contrast between the black and white. And so what we get in this story is it starts out with Scarface and what's the man's name?
Hold that up again, Ryan.
The Scarface guy?
Yeah, the puppeteer.
Wesker.
Very nice.
Wesker, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, like that's almost your opening page. The first one's kind of dark, just like setting the
the first one is a teaser. That's a guy in a sewer or something, and he's a shadowy guy. What does he say in that panel?
War is coming.
And it doesn't really reveal who he is. Yeah.
And then you flip the page and you get Jason Todd on his motorcycle coming in, fighting like this Scarface. I'm assuming he's giant since that's the way they drew him. Maybe it's metaphorical, but it's over. Well, I guess he is giant because that one's very clear. But it's over pretty quick. It's just to like kind of set the stage of like who Jason Todd is in this and how far he'll go. I don't know if you can see this, but that's what I was talking about. His weapon of choice now is like a kukri on a chain. And so
he can get up and around buildings with it and stuff. It's like mixture between Death and Daredevil.
Yeah. And so he goes in, he takes down Scarface, and then he's kind of establishing the crime scene, I guess. And that's when Peacekeeper 3 shows up. And Peacekeeper 3 is kind of a dick to him because like he's still what do they call masks, right? So he's still a mask, even though those are outlawed, and technically he's not supposed to be doing what he's doing, but he gets to live like above the law. And so Peacekeeper 3 isn't really into it. And then there's like suddenly this crazy explosion, and they have to jump on their bikes and like do an Akira style race to get away as the ground's collapsing under them.
Well said.
I was waiting to hear if we get an Akira reference.
Nice
it's better.
reference.
It's better than you think, Chris. Just wait for it.
Yeah, I mean it's almost what's the scene? Is it The Dark Knight Rises when they're running on the field and the ground's collapsing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it's kind of like that. Like they're racing as the ground collapses under them, and they're running, and Red Hood kind of like gets the lead, and he looks back. Peacekeeper 3 isn't keeping up, and he kind of helps save him there. And then they turn around and they realize it's like a giant bat symbol.
So the next Batman is being set up that he just blew up a giant chunk of the city so that they can drive the initiative home.
And then we kind of get like this, it's sort of an exposition done, but it's well done because it's like all these news segments. I agree with Mark in that it's kind of stuff that we already knew if you read a lot of the Future State stuff and even some of the current things since Infinite Future started, or Infinite Frontier. But it's really useful because a lot of people did skip over Future State, and now that it was popular enough, this book is coming back. It kind of catches them up a little bit on what they missed. They tell us that Batman, the original, is dead. Peacekeeper 1's giving a press conference. So you kind of know what the magistrate and stuff like that is.
Yeah, I'm wondering, what did you think when you saw Peacekeeper 1 there? Because, Bruce is dead because he died in the explosion he set off that killed Peacemaker 1. So we assumed up until that one panel in this book that Bruce and Sean both died in that explosion, but we see him for that one news conference panel. So I wonder if it's really him, if he's dead, if that was in real time post-explosion or what.
Yeah. I don't know. Admittedly, like when I read it, it didn't bother me because I'm not quite the continuity sleuth that you are. So I'm not even totally sure where this book takes place in timeline, really. But whenever you brought it up, I was like, oh, yeah, that is a good point. Now that I'm thinking about it all, like, I think he should be dead in this book already, right?
Ryan, can you hold that news panel portion back up where they're looking at like different televisions? That's very reminiscent of Miller's Dark Knight issue #1, where
Yes.
Old Man Bruce is looking at the news and seeing Gotham fall apart. Mark, did you get that sense as well? Yes.
I didn't think about it while I was reading it. To be honest with you, I was literally transported back to February of this year instantly. Like Williamson crushes because he only had backup. This was only a backup story in Future State. But as soon as I started reading this, like, dude, Future State was a blast for me. Like going into something with low expectations and it just being total overall gangbusters. There was some weaker stuff in there, but overall as an event, dude, you couldn't ask for a higher quality event, especially in the current state of what was going on. And I was just transported back to those 2 months where that was 100% of our DC content was Future State. And I was back in it like I had never left it. All those memories, all the continuity sleuthing that I do, it all came back to me and I was just transported. I was just in this book.
I think that's an important statement to make in the sense that, like, I don't think a lot of people, I think there's plenty of people that didn't read Future State. I think there were people who thought it was going to be throwaway. And I think there were people like us that were kind of surprised at how good it was. But there were still hits and misses, But I think this is really interesting because this was only a backup story. And they've been pretty upfront that, fans wanted more of that Red Hood story. Like it was such a success, even as just a backup story, that they went ahead and gave him a whole series to do with it, So I think that's an important point to make about the success of Future State, whether you read it or not and how you feel about it. It says a lot when a backup character gets a whole new series just from backup stories, and 2 of them at that, right? Because it was only 2 issues, wasn't it?
There's only two backup stories to make probably not quite the full individual comic.
Yeah. Yeah, they were probably like 8 to 10 page stories each. So, you're talking about like 20 pages total. Yeah. And I mean, like y'all said, you referenced The Dark Knight. We've referenced Akira, the manga style paneling, the black and white. This book is like full of influences, but they all feel so good in this story. Like they're all well layered and well done and not just homage or an Easter egg or something of that nature. Like somebody has really taken all these elements and really created something unique out of it,
So this does have a backup story in true Future State fashion, and it's separated from the main story by, first off, we see Jason Todd talking to the shadowy figure in the alley again, who we never knew who it was during Future State. And I think Pocan asked who we think it is. I don't think it's Bruce. It might be Bruce. That would be the obvious go-to, but that's why I don't think it's Bruce. I think Williamson's a stronger writer than that. I think it might be Damien. We still have yet to see what Damien was up to in Future State. I'm hoping it's Damien. I want it to be Damien because I like to see that would be good call there.
But does Damien have a heart right now?
Excellent question.
I don't know. We'll see. He's on an island of the what are they called? The Lazarus something like. It's literally Lazarus a pack of people that are like their whole little society is geared around the Lazarus pit. You don't need a heart to make it through a book that takes place by a Lazarus pit.
No.
Yeah, I got better. She turned me into a newt. I got better. Like it doesn't matter. You got a free pass there. But he ends up running into the whole Bat family at the end of the book, and that's where it cliffhangs us. And the Bat family that's left, we get Tim Drake, we get Dick Grayson, we get Spoiler down there, and then a questionable figure with a sword on their back up there. Who is it? I'm sorry. Let me get this right for you, Ryan. It's Sky from Final Fantasy, right, Ryan?
No. Somewhat important story beat there. Like Red Hood operates in this gray area. He's not with the law, but he's also not at potential loss of the law. And so he does end up working with Peacekeeper 3, and now they've renamed him Peacekeeper Red. So now he has actual law authority and enforcement, and then he goes and does some stuff on his own. He sees an old theater where Batman Forever is falling off of the marquee. He goes up on the roof. He's told, you were told the roof was off limits, and that's where we get the reveal of the Bat family behind him. And then we get another backup story that's pretty interesting.
But yeah, it was kind of weird too. But hold on.
Yeah, it's very weird.
That's what I want to show. That page right there. We get an art print by none other than the legendary Mobius. Boom. So they throw that in there.
Wow.
Here's my thing is the Parable, the Silver Surfer 2-issue story. I just loved his art in that. It was absolutely amazing. He's such a great writer. I've got 2 posters laminated from my childhood of one of Iron Man that he did and Daredevil he did.
That's just another little design piece to kind of separate the 2 stories, and then you get the third mask.
Who wrote the third mask?
Katsuhiro Otomo.
Now, what is he famous for writing?
I'll
give you a hint. Look at the picture to the left on the left-hand page.
Akira?
Boom. So we have all these Akira references, and the writer of Akira himself has the backup story.
Oh, sweet. I didn't even realize that was the writer from Akira. That's what's up. That was a huge blind spot for me. I should have known that. Yeah, it's a really cool, it's really weird. Don't get me wrong, it's strange, but it has this really cool, I don't know, it kind of reminds me of how you felt the first time you saw Frank Miller or something, or Mike Mignola. It's got this weird, real rough, very shadowy style to it, but it's also really cool. The Batmobile appears in here, and
engines roaring.
Yeah, his Batmobile design, crazy. So yeah, the backup story was really weird. I don't know what to make of it, but I thought the artwork was cool, and maybe there'll be something better developed out of it as it goes on.
Now, I felt like it almost felt comic strippy to me, like old school comic strips. And I love that about it. I thought that was cool, but I couldn't make heads or tails of the story. It made 0 sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
It was
I enjoyed it, but I couldn't make sense of it.
You can take all the panels from it, cut them out, just shuffle them on the table, put them in any random order, and it'll make just as much sense.
That being said, when did Akira start making sense to you?
Probably the third time. The first half of the movie makes sense, but it goes wild about halfway through it. And then you really got to start just getting into the whole concepts of it and what you got to close your eyes and just listen to it if you want to really understand it. Then open your eyes and what is going on?
It's very easy to get caught up in how beautiful Akira actually is. And then next thing you know, you're like, what's actually happening here? But yeah. I wonder
Yeah,
who called in a favor
Rand's
to
tale.
get the creator of Akira to write a backup story.
I know, right?
Like, hey, we want you
that's
to DC
wow.
I need you to write a story. Thank you. I'm honored. What will I be writing? Hey, just a little backup story. Wait a minute. You know, I wrote Akira, right?
like,
we got
hello?
6 pages for you at the end of a major storyline.
Yeah.
It's a number 1. It's Batman-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, he must have lost a dinner bet somewhere and then just had had the bet called in.
Deliver a favor. Like he saw him on the caller ID. He's like, can't say no when I pick this up.
Now, I know none of you guys are reading Rorschach, are you, by Tom King and Jorge Fornes?
Mm-hmm.
What is going on, Southern Comic Geek? How are you? Dude, I appreciate it. I hit it while we were live for this show. So I'm going to wait to really celebrate until 4 days from now because I've been having weird YouTube lately. I've since I've started my channel, I haven't really gone a day without catching at least one subscriber. And I went like 3 days bouncing between 789 and 790. And then all of a sudden today, I ran up 11 subscribers. So we'll see where it settles overnight. Normally, I wake up to at least 1 or 2 subscribers, with the time difference from East to West Coast, but we'll see. But this was a great issue. We're getting into the it's just a detective whodunit assassination attempt on a presidential candidate, and the assassin was dressed as Rorschach, and there he had a companion who was dressed as a cowboy girl with a domino mask who goes by the Kid, and it's turning into that she was part of this like uber extremist gang that is feared that everyone is going to be attacked by the squid monster again, and that its psychic influence still exists inside of society. And she's kind of like targeting people and grooming people to start kind of taking out actions that she sees fit that the world needs to have happen. People dying, people getting killed, overthrowing these people, all because she feels that they are under the influence of the squid. And it was a really cool story because of the way this one was formatted. You have the private detective interrogating 3 people at the same time. So it's kind of running all 3 interrogations simultaneously that are happening at different times. And you're seeing how all their stories are lining up perfectly. And it's telling the story about how one was a lawyer, one was a psychiatrist, and one was a handyman. And they all went to go help this guy and the kid out on this farm and in their respective fields, have meetings with him or have sessions with him or help them around the house. And each time they were there, the kid was low key grooming them, like helping them build this stage out there on this piece of land because eventually, it would be the stage that the presidential candidate was on. And then her big thing is she was like a gunslinger, so she has them playing with her gun and shooting see if you can hit the stage from here. So seeing how good their shot is for the assassination attempt itself. So you can see where she was kind of grooming them, and they were all playing like they had no clue what was happening. But the end of the book takes a weird turn where the private investigator did not believe them at all. And like he's sitting there punching on them and everything, just good cop, bad cop, all in one guy. And finally, it just shows all 3 of their faces at separate times and panels, just repeating the same line to them where you see that they've all just been they're all a part of it. You kind of get this big realization of how big this really is. And it kind of cliffhangs us on that. So it's another one of those great moments in any Tom King Maxi series where you just hit this random issue where pieces fall into place and it gives you bigger questions than you thought you had. And knowing that this was 8 out of 12, he delivers 100% of the time in limited runs. So I am all on board on this. If people complain about Joker book not having enough Joker, pick this up. I dare you. Great read. You'll get it. Sometimes it's not about the name of the character frontlining it. It's the influence and reach that person has on everything. And that's just a perfect example of it. Such a great read.
Black Label delivering again.
Every time.
Yep.
Except with Harley and the Birds of Prey. I didn't pick that one Black Label up. It was too cartoony for me.
Yeah, at least we get Constantine out of it. But yes, Black Label delivering again. I wish DC would release a lot more stuff under that banner.
More coming.
More coming.
Nice House on the Lake is on the way. Tynan's independent horror book under DC's Black Label banner. So pumped.
Did you happen to get the John Jang trilogy released for that?
Why would you ask a stupid question like that?
Not the real question is, what soil did you buy that book from? American or Canadian?
American.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm very pro Comic Kingdom of Canada, dude. That's a fantastic shop. You put me onto that. You and this guy who
Yes.
watches the channel, who's a local here.
Yeah.
He pointed out, dude, if a place like, because I know that places share exclusives. I learned that
Yes.
with Frankie's Comics, but
Yeah.
they don't advertise that they share exclusives because they want to
No,
sell
they
theirs.
don't.
But the more that you do this, the more that you like pay attention to shops and buy from shops, you figure out who they're partnered with. You figured out which one sells out first. You figure out like if you can't make it, check the other one. And dude, I've figured out like most of these people's partners. It's Frankie's and Golden Apples. It's
Yeah.
Comics Elite with Comic Kingdom of Canada. It's Mutant
Yeah.
Beaver up there in Canada.
Yes,
El
it
Rey
is.
up there in Canada. There's Canadian counterparts to a lot of these stores, and they don't overcharge you for shipping. There's shipping agreements and the exchange rate. You end up paying the same thing. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and like all joking aside, that's where I was going with this for my American brethren that's watching this. If the American counterpart does sell it quickly, and the whole reason why I brought that up is because as we all know, Mark is a big John Jang fan, and I found out that the trilogy covers that he's releasing for the new Tynan House on the Lake what sold out really quickly or limited numbers were released. It was something really crazy happened, but Comics Kingdom of Canada still had it, and I think they may still have one or two or possibly all three of the trilogy books that the trilogy variants that are being released, and they are fire covers, and that's the reason why I was bringing that up. But yeah, for my American brethren, if you think it's sold out, check north of the border. The Canadian companies that are up here will not rip you off. They will ship it the same way. I'm in the back of Tyler's house.
Yeah.
But no, check it out because there's more than one option. Like, and a lot of people don't necessarily know that, and that's almost a tragedy. Like, especially for people like Mark, there are a lot of people that are dedicated fans of certain writers and particularly certain artists, and want to try and get those particular variants that are released exclusively. But my point is that the whole segue was, yeah, there's more than one option. Check those Canadian companies because they will sell it to you at the same price. They'll ship it to you. You won't have to worry about customs work. It's all taken care of. It's all taken care of. You're not going to get ripped off. Obviously, if you want to support your own first, by all means, go ahead. But I'm just saying, if it sells out, there is an alternative. Explore that avenue before you give up on that particular book. You don't necessarily have to go to the Bay and spend an arm and a leg when it's still in retail.
Dude, I was very hesitant about like kind of at first like looking at places over the border for something just because of how like complicated it might get. But these guys in Seven Secrets are looking over the borders of dimensions just to stay alive.
Yes.
So it felt like a no-brainer for me to start looking in those other places. This is the best indie book on shelves right now. Underread. Absolutely delivers on excessive amounts of content. They have dove so deep into a story so vast, and it just covers every little bit of everything. So we saw in the last 2 issues ago, some of these secrets started getting opened, and we realized one was a Stargate. We realized one was something massive. A phrase was yelled while it was getting opened. They were pleading for him not to open it, and the final words for his open is, "Don't you remember what happened to Atlantis?" And they open it, and you see a blinding light. Then in the last issue, we kind of followed everyone that went into the Stargate and realized that King Arthur is real. Elves are real. There's a whole another dimension out there. The Rainbow Bridge was basically shown throughout the whole thing. And this issue picks up back what was going on our world. And we saw that the fallout from opening that one case that we had the warning about Atlantis when they opened it. It literally Switzerland is gone. Switzerland is no longer on the map. What that case that was open was, it was a weapon that completely erased an entire continent with the explosion. So we're getting a lot of fallout. We're seeing the keepers of the secrets trying to find shelter because we found out all of their places were compromised. There's either a mole or the bad guy being one of the seekers' kids that has grown up that's after him, might have known about it, whatever. So all the seekers are on the run. They're trying to find some place to go. And we do get confirmed on the last page that there is, in fact, a mole inside the keepers. So I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. This is Tom Taylor again, absolutely delivering. I almost dropped this title because it was a slow start. It wasn't a slow start action wise, but for delivering big content, like there was tons of action, but it wasn't doing anything that really established it as something special. And then when you get to issue 4, this epic sized battle goes down. Issue 5, that battle comes to a head. And then issue 6, this book defines a new genre of comics. And I have a whole We Live moment to it where you thought you were reading something and then they just hand you something else. You're like, that's awesome. I want more of that. I hate I hate how like just I don't know, carbon copy everything can feel sometimes. So this when I get home with this from the shop, I literally rush to read it. Like this is the first thing I read when I hit the front door. I'm like, gotta know. I've got to know what's happening next. And I hope people go pick up these trades or something and check it out and see what you think about it.
Very nice, very nice. That's kind of how I was feeling about Scout's Honor. You know, each of those issues like was better than the last one, other than the bump from 4 to 5, because 5 had to wrap the story. You know, and I'd mentioned before, like I give a little more leeway on the ending because, especially if the journey's good, it's hard to wrap that up in a meaningful way a lot of times. So I'm usually a little nicer on finales, but you know, it was a very neat package at the end there. But issue 1 was awesome. Issue 2 was even better. Issue 3 was even better. And then issue 4 took like a super comic book turn, you know, like we started getting the abstract backgrounds and the internal dialogue and changing of seasons and all, you know, so it turned into a very comic booky book for that issue, but it also allowed Pepos to strip the character down and rebuild her into the hero we needed for the final fight, you know? And so Number 5 was good. It was a nice wrap up. It had a very nice bow on the package and everything. And I'm excited for it to come off the pull list, but I will miss the excitement of getting it every month, you know. And when it came out, it was on top of the stack because it was that good.
I love having books like that, like where you see that they're coming, and you're like, okay, and then you start thinking about the last couple of issues, and you don't even have to try to refresh on it. It just starts running through your mind. You just start self-speculating on what the next part of story is going to be, like what you're hoping for and what's going to ruin it, like what's going to twist. Like, I wanted this to happen. I want this to work out for these people. How's that not? What's going to get in the way of it? And then just seeing it all play out. It's just so fun. I love comics, man. Another one, Mighty Morphin 7. It wasn't great. I mean, it was just I feel like Power Rangers as a whole has been pretty lackluster since the 50s or something. We had a couple of strong issues when the series split, and now it's just back into that just treading water. Both titles, really, if we're being honest here. There's nothing amazing going on. We need another Shattered Grid. We need another Beyond the Grid. We don't need a huge crossover, but we need something of real quality. And I feel like it's just throwing stuff at the wall right now with both titles and seeing what sticks. With this one, it's the OG team, and it's just what can we do different? Oh, let's make good guys bad guys for a little bit, and then we'll come up with a reason why the good guys are bad guys. And I don't know.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the Power Rangers side, okay, but I do agree. Like we're kind of in this like Tynion Batman kind of rut where every issue feels like maybe we're making like a little bit of progress towards something, but for the most part, it feels like the tires are just like stuck in the mud, and so I do hope that there's something that happens pretty soon to like regain my interest. But overall, I'm enjoying the way that Power Rangers is shaping up. I like the genre bending sci-fi stuff that they're doing there, but there's nothing like really incredible about Mighty Morphin or Power Rangers right now. They're just solid titles.
Yeah, they'll just bring back the coin list in some meaningful way. Where's Ari? Where is Ari in any of this? She's like the coolest thing that's happened since Boom's taken over Power Rangers. And she was the Solar Ranger, for those that don't know. We met her in the Beyond the Grid storyline where she exists kind of outside the morphing grid. And she has a very unique tap into the morphing grid, into her ability to morph and exist as a Ranger. And she's a showstopper. She's like Jeff Bridges in Tron. Like they pulled her out as a one and done. Like you don't mess with her. And we have the Imperial now. Do you realize like she can, like, can she shut them down like that? Like
Yeah,
they're
and what
Morphin Master level villains. Like what is she going to do to that? We need her.
Yeah, and what really frustrates me there is that like I was fine with whenever they came from Beyond the Grid, and it had performed kind of lackluster for what they were expecting out of it. And I agree with you. It was kind of all over the place, but there was a lot of great ideas, and I think it was the right direction to go. They just didn't quite have it put together well enough. But I was okay with that being like, because after the end of that, they brought back everything and basically reset and pretended like a lot of that stuff didn't happen. I was fine with that. But then Parrot, like, he decided to write this crazy necessary evil thing, and it got out of hand, and he lost control of it. And so he kind of like Deus Ex Machina at the end and brought in the Solar Ranger, which means now they're in continuity. But then he just like sent her away again and acts like she don't exist now. And that's where it's frustrating. If they had just went ahead and stuck with Beyond the Grid didn't really happen or whatever they were doing there, I would have been okay with that. I would say that was great for me. Everybody else don't have to worry about it. But once you bring her into continuity again, now she exists again. So you can't just pretend like she's not there. And they seem to be feeling that way.
But it did exist in continuity. We just didn't have her brought in because you still had the Ranger Slayer that knew about it because she was the only one
well,
there.
true, the Ranger Slayer, yeah.
The Ranger Slayer came out and straight into continuity. Everyone else went back to their respective times and their respective dimensions because it was a hodgepodge team. We had one Ranger. There were no two Rangers from the same team. We had Gravedigger in there that got destroyed and everything. So there was a lot of plot progression in that, even though it was outside of the regular Rangers we were following. But we had Ranger Slayer in there who'd been constant since she was first introduced. So she made that completely canon. Like it's canon for all of the Rangers, wherever those Rangers dimensions are. That happened for them as well because they're going to be the constant for their team, just like Ranger Slayer is for our team. And the fact that they brought her in like she did, just as a showstopper, and we're not doing anything with her, we're not addressing it. And there's been such a time gap here. And we saw that the Omega Rangers and all their glory and their whole introduction was just to get beast moded by the Anointed and have Ari come in and shut it down. So at this point, there's nothing that exists inside of known Power Ranger continuity that can come close to an Imperial other than Ari. So for the people that read Beyond the Grid, that really got I feel like I got my money's worth in Necessary Evil because while it wasn't amazing, it was still a solid run. Like it was damage control for what had happened with Beyond the Grid. That was a good follow-up. It was the whole this event has side effects. These are the side effects. And now these side effects are too much to handle. Bring in Ari. So now we have to have Ari at this point. Those people that skipped over it, or those people, if you skipped over Beyond the Grid, how could you enjoy Necessary Evil? At the end of that, when she showed up, dude, I was fanboying. Like that was a moment in comics where I'm like dropping the book, throwing my arms up. I'm like, let's go. Like this is good now. This single issue right here.
Oh yeah, I remember reading that issue like, yes, I am one of 6 people on the planet that understand what's going on right now. Like it was awesome. Like it was so cool to have her show up and do what she did. I thought it was great, but it also felt very much like Parrot being like, I don't know how to put this all together at the end here because as it goes on, like the first half of Necessary Evil was pretty solid, but at some point there, it felt like he lost control of all his plot threads, and some things kind of just like got forgotten and fell to the way, and other times it was like, well, she's too important. I can't just forget about her. So what do I keep doing with her? And so, yeah, at the end, it does feel like he was like, well, here's a trump card that'll end everything. And that's why he brought her in, I feel like. But it was great, as a fan to see that and have that happen. And I think it was great for people like us, but a lot of people were just confused. And again, it feels like he brought it in because he didn't quite know how to rein it in.
Weathered fans. I've talked about them. Like, I don't drop a title when it dips. I hang in there because I need to know what's going on with the character. Like my life gets boring sometimes, and sometimes I got some great stories to share, and that's how it is with these characters on these monthlies. I mean, if it runs bad for a long time, I might stop and just go for a trade, but I'm still gotta know. I got to know. If I don't, I feel like I lose it all. Like you said, I'm a continuity sleuth. I've got to know because you lose those little plot threads real quick, and it takes the value away from the other books. Like, how can you read Nightwing without knowing what's going on with the whole Joker War stuff and Bruce losing his fortune and Alfred dying, and get the emotional weight of what Tom Taylor delivered in Nightwing. Like that was an insanely emotional book. Can you imagine just deciding I'm going to pick up Nightwing? Yeah, it makes sense, but you get none of the emotional delivery at all. But yeah, Power Ranger 7 is better than Power Ranger Mighty Morphin 7. But that doesn't always hold consistent either. And that's another thing that bothers me. One week, one will be better than the other. One will be better than the other. But you should have read Beyond the Grid. And look, I wasn't on YouTube or talking with all y'all during that whole time era. But when I first started talking to Ryan, and we were talking about Power Rangers, one of the first things I told him that, dude, I think that my favorite story from all the Ranger stuff has been Beyond the Grid. And he's like, dude, I love that too. And one of the first things he says, like, we should do a video sometime on it. We never did that video, but we've done a lot of videos since. That's literally the binding thread that got me and Ryan started talking about doing any kind of videos together, was the Beyond the Grid thing. It really was a fantastic story.
Yeah, at the risk of going deeper down this rabbit hole, like, we should do that video now, because the big reveal toward the end of Beyond the Grid was how incredibly significant the Zeo crystals are to everything and where they came from. And in the current Mighty Morphin, like, they just revealed they've discovered the first Zeo crystal. So we should do that video now, because a lot of people don't know how important they tied Zeo crystals into the Rangers at the end of all that.
And realizing how many people skip over a whole chunk, a whole story arc. And again,
there's so much deep lore in there.
Would not have sucked if you read Beyond the Grid. It wouldn't have been the best story, but it would have delivered. You would have had like one of the biggest fanboy moments for your Power Ranger reading history had you read Beyond the Grid. Like, it was not the best story. You're coming out of Shattered Grid, but dude, if it didn't just make it all worth it to see that moment. When as soon as Kim says, "I've got backup coming," I'm thinking, is it Grace? Like, my brain's going 100 miles an hour, and I turn the page and I'm ready to throw the book. Like, yes, like, let's go. Like,
it was. She comes through that portal of reality and the Gravesword, and oh man, it was so cool. I like the Morphin Master stuff. I love the God status they had. Like, that's the other thing about Beyond the Grid. Like, it was such an amazing early attempt at what Simone did for We Only Find Them When They're Dead.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, because all the stuff he does in that book is like a more polished version of all the ideas he was testing in Beyond the Grid. So you can like see his progression, you know, and it's really cool to see where it came from to where it's at now with that.
Dude, and when they get into the actual like lore of the Zeo crystals and how she taps into the morphing energy, because they all have physical crystals that like their energy draws from, but she's different. And she describes like this gauntlet that's on her hand that taps her in, and the ability to tap into morphing grid energy. And she describes it like, if you could hold a sliver of gravity in your hand, what that would be like. That's like, with her being in the void and everything being different, that's what it's like for her. And I'm like, dude, this is some pretty deep stuff they're getting into.
Yeah, it was very hard sci-fi. Yeah,
it was perfect.
When she shows up at the end of that first issue, oh my god, I think I sent that picture to everybody I know. Like, she shows up and just like wipes the floor with everybody and takes all the power out of their ship, and they're humans outside of like a dimension. Like, they have no survival, you know. And she shows up and just like wipes the floor with one Ranger and then takes all their power.
That's unfortunate, Tyler. It really is. Because different people are going to hit it for different reasons. Well, the one thing that I've loved about the Power Ranger stuff is just how far that they're going to take it, and it really expand the Power Ranger mythos. And that was the first time they did it. Like, we had the Shattered Grid where you're playing with existing concepts in funny ways and changing and just mixing stuff together. But Beyond the Grid was the first time they took the mythos and really pushed it. They absolutely just pushed it out there into new territory, and I was all in on it. Absolutely loved it. Yeah, we went down a rabbit hole for sure, but it was fun.
Yeah, I can't tell if Chris is sleeping or frozen.
Yeah. Like, we went down
it's a glitch in the Matrix.
Some people we went down the rabbit hole. Some people going to shelters, much like Geiger's family.
Oh, wow. Yes.
That was a rough one, but I mean, it worked. Chris, I know you read it. I'm going to let you front run this one, buddy. We just Did you get a chance to read through it yet?
I went through it quickly, so you're gonna have to bear with me. If
Not much to it, but it was solid.
it was a fun read. Again, who's the artist again? Gary Frank.
Very Frank, he's fantastic.
It was very well done. I enjoyed the part. I enjoyed it very much, like the splashing back and forth in time. The visuals. I gotta throw this up here. Were magnificent.
Yes. Jeff Johns and Gary Frank are like a dream team when they were.
That's why I had to reference just to make sure like who I was going to be speaking about. It's almost to the point where the Geiger character kind of wondering, is he struggling with the idea that he himself might be a villain, or is it just he's doing whatever is necessary to keep everything the way it's supposed to be in his mind?
And I don't think he's the villain. I think he knows how dangerous he might be, though, like physically dangerous to be around.
Right. So, the comic relief part of it is always good. Or the comic relief portion that's here is before you go, you have any good books on you? Like, you can tell that he's struggling with the boredom factor. Struggling with the boredom factor.
Yeah. We saw in the last issue that he's big on reading books a lot of time by himself. So I thought that was cool how he's running across just anybody out there in the wild, and he takes advantage of the opportunity to try to get some more books.
Right. Saving them from what they're dealing with, and then the only question is, do you have any good books? The part that I did find, I'm not sure, but what did you think of this?
Oh, I thought that was cool. Getting a little bit of bonus scans and everything. It's kind of giving us sneak peeks of his backstory. It's kind of like one of those secret file and origin issues, just a sliver of one included in this. And it says his pathology report indicate cancer has metastasized and is present in the patient's lungs, livers, and kidney. High-grade tumor shows a 10% growth rate since previous examination. Continued testing indicates strong, probably cancer, whatever. So it's just showing that he's been riddled with cancer. And then there's little sticky notes on it. It says that recorded fever spikes to 120, but he's still conscious and lucid. Not possible. His organs aren't shutting down; they're changing into something else. So his sickness, whatever he had prior to going into that nuclear blast radius, was already messing with him. In the beginning, it shows us a little bit with him and a doctor in the flashback with addressing the cancer thing. So we're going to see that has a key factor in his survival from the nuclear blast and his change into becoming Joe Glow from just Mr. Geiger, which is his last name we find out in this.
But I did enjoy the fact that now Jeff Johns is bringing us into the landscape portion of it and what else has gone wrong with the creatures of the planet. So we had these, would you call them ants? Like that are just oversized and like taking on the family that's here, and other like there's oversized scorpions. So the entire planet's, or the area where they are, just seems to be engulfed in a heavy mutation. And that's when we finally see him show up. And do you happen to have any good books? But yeah, I quickly went over it the first time. I'm still liking it going over it this time. I know that Ryan struggles with the whole idea of Jeff Johns, and I believe Mark and myself, we do as well. But this is a good book.
Yeah, I don't like him being delayed. I don't like necessarily the way he conducted himself on movie sets.
Right.
But I'm a fan of his writing, and he hasn't done anything yet to disqualify me from picking up his stuff. There is a disclaimer there because I don't keep up with or investigate these people personally to know if he's at a level where he shouldn't be doing stuff, or I don't know. I can't really speak on none of that. But this was a fantastic book. I enjoyed that they kind of dive us into the Las Vegas world, because we got teased that pretty much the world that's still structured and organized is led by a bunch of different crime mobs. and each crime mob kind of takes up resident in a different casino in this walled off Vegas, and they theme their gangs after the setting of the casinos. So we like if you're in the Camelot casino, you're dressed in old Camelot lore and stuff like that. And so we meet a server or a bartender lady who, when she's in there, she sees that these people just retrieved something important that their boss has been after, and I think they call it the foot or something. It's the nuclear foot or something. What do they call it? I can't remember.
I thought it was the foot. Yes.
Yeah. So she steals it because she knows that this could be their ticket to get out of there and quit getting beat up and working for a crime family. So she steals it, runs it back to her apartment room, goes to fetch her two kids who she's fearing for their life because her daughter's become of age. So it's kind of looks like a scenario reminded me of Braveheart, when the family got married and the Lord of the Land sent his man to go get the newly married wife because he has the right to lay with her first. It kind of reminded me of that in a way, like this Camelot style mob, like when kids become a certain age, are kind of to whatever, because she made the comment maybe you should shave her head or make her look ugly so that she won't suffer the fate that's coming her way, and also that you should be more worried about your son, who's the younger kid. So she's worried for her kid's safety, and she tries to get them this ticket to get him out of Dodge. And they get onto him. They kill the mom real quick. The kids make a fast break, and they jump in a car, throw on hazmat suits, and take off. And that's when they're overran by the giant creatures that are mutated. Everything living is pretty much mutated at this point that's out there in no man's land. And Joe Glow shows up, kills the bug, saves them, asks them for books, and then we kind of see the little Camelot effer kid who was wearing a mask in issue 1. We find out that he wears the mask because he has a handprint radiation burn on his face from where he had a run-in with Joe Glow one time before. Look at that art, Ryan. Yeah. We can disclaim John's argument, but Frank's is on fire, my guy. Like, that dude is just amazing.
Yeah. Let me set the record straight on that.
Yeah.
You can call me a liberal lefty. That doesn't hurt my feelings. I agree with. I'm pretty sure I agree with Mark here. Like, I don't believe in cancel culture in the sense like do something wrong and we're going to take your whole livelihood away from you. I think there are some people that have been properly canceled. Harvey Weinstein. I think we can all agree on that one. But for the most part, like, I also understand the business enough to know if you. And I struggle with this one because I think Roseanne Barr probably did deserve what she got. But that being said, when you cancel Roseanne and her show, you're also putting at least 100+ people out of work as well. And so there is a sense of like people need to have some sort of retribution, but we also don't need to like get rid of people altogether. And so a lot of the comments that I make on like Jeff Johns, like I believe everything I say about him, but at the same time, like a lot of it's kind of like hyperbole to prevent myself from adding another book to my pull list or taking away more of my time trying to fit another book into my reading schedule. So I kind of distance myself from wanting to even grab it by using that as a sort of buffer. I do like the disclaimer thing. I think 1, it's a good joke, and 2, it lets you know, like, yeah, these are people that, you should observe, in a certain context, and understand that, they should do better. I'm not saying they should be canceled, but they should do better, and we should make them know that we think they should do better. But at the end of the day, like, there's a ton of talent in that book. I don't know how much Jeff Johns I've read, but I believe he's a very talented writer. He usually works with great artists, and to cancel him would put a lot of people out of work, So I disagree with that part, but yeah, I do agree with like make sure you think about the people behind the work too.
I'm 100% Team Ray Fisher on this one, by the way.
Agreed.
That's what did it with me with Jeff Johns. Like that's when he hit the disclaimer list, which, for the record, this is going nowhere. This is a staple of what we got going on here, because like he pointed out, like you said, these people don't deserve to lose their jobs, but their actions do deserve to be pointed out, because as a society as a whole, we should all be striving to do better. And if we're not, it is important to point that out, because people need to be able to make the justified decision on if they would choose to support someone like that or not, so that their actions do reflect consequences. Because I know I get punished for my actions, in my job, in my home life, whether it be with the law or the reaction that my family takes with me. So I strive to do good. So I hope that other people would as well. So that is, and for me personally, the proof is in the pudding, or in this case, the proof is in the Snyder Cut. Ray Fisher, after that performance, Jeff Johns, you get a disclaimer. So let the record show that's where that came from. Also, let the record show the book is fantastic. So let's hope that he could keep holding up his end of the bargain, that myself as a reader went into an unannounced agreement with him as a writer when I started picking up this book, that I will pick this book up monthly and give my money to his work if he chooses to deliver his work to me, which historically speaking here recently, he hasn't held up his end of the bargain very well when it comes to us comic book readers. Now, if you're wanting to try to step into the market of the shows and all that, he's really trying to spread himself out too thin and go where bigger money is and all that. And if that becomes a common thread moving forward, I mean, it was really just Doomsday Clock and Shazam that he did that with, which were happening at the same time. So that was really just one event. But if he continues to do that, I would hate to stop picking up his stuff knowing that I'm not going to be able to enjoy it. Because if you're not going to put out a book on time, it's not that it's going to be bad, but I'm not going to be able to sit down and enjoy it. And if you know me, I love my trades, but I don't like buying modern trades. I like reading books as they're coming out, coming on here, talking with these guys, talking with the chat. And that's absolutely crucial for my comic book love, to be able to do that, to be able to stay in the moment, in the now. And if Johns can't do that, that sucks, because he's capable of writing good things. Hopefully his brush with everything on because you didn't hear anything negative coming out of the Stargirl production or the Wonder Woman 84 production. It was just a Snyder Cut, which could very well just be a random event, because that movie was riddled with all kinds of crazy things that happened to it. So who knows what kind of stress these people are under, what kind of situation all of them are working under, and you might not have had the time and patience. And I know what Ray said with Jeff Johns was he wasn't willing to look at any of his ideas or any of his dialogue, this or that, and Johns was wanting certain things. They were all being pushed by their own bosses. So hopefully it was just a scenario of that. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Only time will tell.
I also, one thing we don't know about Jeff Johns, at least I don't, is how much of a fan he is of somebody like Joss Whedon. If he's on the set working with Joss Whedon and he's a fan of his work, which I think is kind of likely, it could have been part just like, I'm not going to go tell Ray Fisher, that he's right whenever like one of my heroes is standing right next to me telling me to fix it, So, we don't really know what was going on that set
and
completely.
Really,
so
and Johns is a new guy on that kind of production. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's not like he has any experience there. It's not like he was a shot caller there. He's big in our
Didn't
world.
he start in movies?
Yeah.
Didn't he what?
Didn't he start in movies? Because I thought he was a screenwriter before he got into comics.
Not on that level. I thought he was a production hand.
Oh. See, I always heard that he was a script writer, which depending on what productions are going on, sometimes the writers are there on set and they work with those people. Sometimes they literally write the script and it goes and they get paid and that's it. So
No
I don't know what
he
level he was
yeah.
at before he got into comics, but I thought I had heard that he was already a script writer before he came into comics.
If you're a script writer for independent films and then 10 years go by when you don't work on movie sets and you come back to massive billion-dollar blockbusters, you're out of your element.
Yeah.
So who knows?
And like I said, he might be a fanboy of Joss Whedon, because I can tell you, like, as much as we disclaim him, Firefly is my jam. Oh my God, I love Firefly.
Joss Whedon wrote one of the best X-Men runs in the past 20 years. He's capable of great things. He did the first Avengers.
His ability to put together the early MCU stuff, like that was him and Kevin Feige that really architected all that.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as well. Mm-hmm.
What else we got book-wise? I'm done. I just burned through my whole list. Who's got stuff that I didn't pick up?
I think that's it for things that I've read so far.
Yeah, Scout's Honor was the only other one that I've read that nobody else grabbed.
It was a thick stack I'm still working my way through.
Already thick. Speaking of thick, Wonder Girl #1 drops next week.
Oh boy.
Segue. Yara Flor is back. Boom. 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 Here we go. We all make mistakes. If we own it and learn from it, we should be forgiven and move on. The current trend to destroy someone is wrong. 100% agree. And I think that's the case with Jeff, because, again, we have heard nothing else ever about his professional career other than just that one time on that one movie set. So I think that had to be it. And Ray really didn't go in on him like he went in on Joss, which
No.
huge difference.
Most of the complaints about Justice League were Joss Whedon based. It's just Jeff
Used to.
Johns' name got
Right?
mentioned a couple
Used to.
times too.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I feel like Jeff Johns' name, as far as that's concerned, only got mentioned in the sense like he was there and wouldn't like stand up to Joss Whedon, I guess is the best way to put it. Like Ray
Yeah.
Fisher felt like he was kind of a go-between, except for he was only going between one side.
Yeah.
So not necessarily that he did something wrong, but that he didn't do something right is kind of how I take it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, he still gets a disclaimer because at this point, we're not
Yeah,
backing
also
out
his
of the joke.
professionalism.
Yeah, for us in a comic book based channel, we'll leave all the movie out of it and just say the dude doesn't put out books on time. Disclaimer.
Yeah, boom, got it.
And if we'll call it now. If Geiger issues 7 and 8, both, not just one, if both of those drop on time, we might talk about revoking his disclaimer. Will it happen? Probably not, but we'll talk about it.
Stay tuned in September.
Right.
We'll see.
Stick around.
Yeah. All right, so guys, I think that pretty much gets us to the tail end here. Do y'all have anything else you want to talk about?
We had Henry Cavill news.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it was really interesting news that came out. I'm glad that he's actually being honest about something. Henry Cavill has a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Woo.
Well, let's headline it correctly. Henry Cavill is very much in love, is the headline I saw.
It's just I'm so starved for Man of Steel 2 news or to find out what they're doing with the character inside the DCEU. It's like, every other week we're getting some sort of interesting information when it comes to the MCU and what they're doing there. It's just the DCEU stuff. It just, again, I'm tired of the any good news and any bad news is still good news. Like, no, let's just be honest. Just come out. Like, is Cavill still under contract? Or is J.J. Abrams going to take Superman and put him into the DCU canon, or is he going to be doing it separately, like Pattinson's Batman? Like we need some clarity here. And it looks like we're going to get an opportunity to get Ben Affleck back at least one more time as Batman. Gal Gadot came out recently and said some negative things about Whedon, but we still know that she's still under contract as well. But come on, we're talking about Superman here, man. Like, I feel like Allen Iverson saying we're talking about practice here, man. We're talking about Superman. Like how in the world are they messing this up? This is not something, you can't drop the ball on this. We're talking about the first. Without him, none of it exists, and they need to address it properly. Is Cavill still sticking around? Because go ahead.
WB is addressing it very well. And all joking aside, if the Superman Lois series that they made is so far outside of the realm of anything that you'd expect from WB, the first 5 episodes are on HBO Max right now. There's only 5 out, and they took a break for COVID production reasons. But definitely watch that. Even if you don't like CW stuff, check it out. It is so good. It is absolutely good. And it's another one, TV show level production, but it is top TV show level production, and it gets the job done.
What's the name of the actor that's playing Superman in that? Tyler
Hoechlin. Yeah.
Tyler Hoechlin. Yeah, he delivers as an alternate world Superman perfectly.
Great
the pain that he shows in episode 1 where his mom passes away. Spoiler, by the way. It was real. Like it to me. Is this guy actually acting, or is he actually physically hurting here and then dealing with the fallout there afterwards of his mother passing away, and then other people from Smallville showing up and showing jealousy towards him because he happens to have a life in Metropolis and not Smallville, and the whole outsider aspect of you left and I stuck around here and I toughed it out even though this is Smallville and you're making an easy life for yourself in the big city. And yeah, they got themselves a real good actor for there, not to take anything away from Brandon Routh, who's a very good Superman as well. But yeah, Tyler Hoechlin is a very good actor, and he's portraying Clark Kent and Superman very, very well. And the 2 actors that they have playing his children, they're good actors as well.
Now, I wasn't really sold on him during the Supergirl era because he was a background piece. They didn't front run
Yeah.
Superman like he delivers in this with a new style and tone change to it and everything. It's great. And as far as like the news coming out of DC, like it really pays to be short sighted with them because their future is so undetermined right now. They haven't really got into like a smooth swing of things. Is I'm just looking for the Suicide Squad. Why would I care about anything after that? That's where all my attention is. That looks amazing. That looks absolutely amazing. I cannot wait for that. Idris Elba and John Cena just buddy copping for 2 hours. Come on. Come on.
And the shark.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yes.
Everyone go watch the Harley Quinn animated show before you go see Suicide Squad and get a good feel for what you can do with a proper king shark. You have like if you've seen Moana, the Disney movie, the Rock's character in that who can shapeshift into animals even makes the joke. He turns into a shark with arms and legs, like just to be a distraction because how odd the combination is. So it's awesome that in the Harley show and also James Gunn, nothing's lost on him. They play into it. It is going to be fantastic. Watch Moana, by the way. I love that movie. Great soundtrack. The Rock, phenomenal. Doesn't matter if he's really there or if it's just his voice. Can sell anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just going to kind of echo what Chris said at the top there. Like with the MCU and Disney and Feige and all this, what we tend to get is, some rumors here and there, but pretty rare. We get a lot of spec stuff coming from the fans, and then we get like actual information when relevant and concrete being dropped by Disney and them, like they're letting us know what's going on. And most of that doesn't change too much. Whereas with Warner Brothers and DC and all this, it's just all rumors. There's almost no speculation. And whenever we do get some kind of like information, it's like Warner Brothers wants to tell us, this is what we're doing for the next 3 years, and it might change in 3 months. And it's just like, why can't we get some actual like concrete information? Tell us things that are actually going to happen and not things that you think are going to happen. Because that's when it gets annoying. It's always, every time that they announce a project and then cancel it, that's where all the rumors come from. Why'd they cancel it? They didn't like this person. They couldn't get along over here. This happened. That, like they're hurting themselves by not setting like concrete information and putting it out there on their own terms. So that's the lesson they need to learn from the MCU is control the flow of information and people will be more excited for your stuff.
Well, agreed. You guys want to plug anything real quick? I'm looking at the time. I got to
go. Today, myself and Mark, we released 2 cool guys, 2 hot picks, and it's a banger video. I'll be honest. Both of us went down an interesting road to deliver what we think that everyone should consider picking up singularly from each of us this upcoming new comic book day. And Mark's basically talked about, the thickness and what his pick is going to be. And
different reasons than the thickness, though.
Okay. And tomorrow
bonus.
Tomorrow I have Mystery Box Monday, and Wednesday for my Carl B. New Comic Book Day. At some point this week, I will be giving away The Last Ronin 2. I said I was going to be releasing a video Friday or Saturday. Life does get in the way sometimes. I'll be releasing a quick video just to give that book away in the name of Gary B. and the Grow Together initiative and how wonderful of a thing that is. And Saturday, I'll be going live on Rob's Fat Stack of Comics on Slab Hub, where he pulls out slabs from his very large collection. And a week from today, I'll be joining these 2 fabulous gentlemen again, God willing, on at week's end.
Nice guess, but nope. He's trying to guess my hot pick. Nope.
You gotta go. You gotta go watch, man.
Yeah,
you gotta go watch.
The Hulk does come up in it, so you're almost on a path.
Do I mention it in there?
Not you.
Oh,
me?
Yeah, there's even an on-screen image of the Hulk.
I know there's a GIF of Spider-Man that absolutely cracked me up.
Thank you.
Spider-Man's
No, don't give it away. Go watch, everybody.
And it was.
I'm not giving anything away.
It was.
There's an image of the Hulk that appears on screen at one point.
Like in my intro? Yeah, Mark's intro.
He's in
I'm
both.
bl-
Unless I just
I'm
don't know
blank.
what I was looking at.
I'm blanking out.
I'll tell you later. So
Okay.
yeah, I have 2 videos that are pretty much done. So you may get one or the other tomorrow, or you might get both. Who knows? Still making decisions on all that. And then Tuesday I'll have a new interview out. So that's all great looking forward. But what I want you to really think about is today I dropped a video that's like some light commentary on the spec market, and the market's finally catching up to me. Who would have thought? I also dropped a video the other day with some other spec market content where I tried to catch up to the market. So check out both of those. It's a lot of fun. And then there's also an interview I dropped in between there. It's Matt Kund and Noah Ray of Constructing Comics Pod. They're doing a Kickstarter for their Dino Thrasher series. This is the second book they're kickstarting. But go check out that video and comment hashtag Dino Thrashers in the comments to get entered into a drawing to win a couple of indie comics, including a physical copy of Dino Thrashers 1.
Nice.
There was one thing that I forgot to mention, Mark, if you wouldn't mind. The one thing that I always say, you've made it in the comic community when you finally get the opportunity to sit down with Jimmy Don Kerr and go through 10 questions. This past Saturday, I had the opportunity to sit down with Jimmy Don Kerr and go through 10 questions. At what point he releases it, I don't know if he's got a few in the can or what he's going to be doing, but it was fantastic. I loved every second of it. And
Really
I spoke about you guys, so I hope that you guys tune in whenever Jimmy decides to let it go. And that's just a little hint for my favorite Disney princess right there. So, Mark, what do you got?
Nice. Mine was Jasmine. So today I dropped a video where I don't normally drop one on Sundays. So I dropped my entry to the Blasting and Stashing contest, which was absolutely a blast to do. So if you guys haven't done that, I did throw the link in I want to throw the link in the chat where you can go over there and get the questions to enter. It's really fun. I hope that everybody does an entry for it. Whether you want to win the prize or not, it's a great time to sit down and just kind of talk about some fun comic sides of yourself. And it's really fun going back and checking the comments on that one, is seeing people's responses and where they fall on it. And so I had that video today, of course, the video that went out on your channel today. And I had the new comic book day video dropped yesterday. And tomorrow I have an awesome video dropping. And I know last year people got blindsided by some of the new the year before last, people got blindsided by the free comic book day stuff, as well as last year. And it made me think, people be getting blindsided by those for some reason, and not everybody has the access that I do. I am never shorthanded for free comic book day books at all. I can still go to the shop today and get those specced out Spider-Man books from last year out of the, you know what I mean? Like, and you couldn't find them in most shops, but there's some shops here and there that you can. Like, and I have a non-spec LCS, so it was there. It's still there. I can still grab some, even though it's the spec on it's done. But I did a free comic book day preview video for 2021. So tomorrow at 7 a.m., you can check the channel and see every comic that's dropping for free comic book day this year. That's going to be taking place in August instead of May. Due to COVID, it got pushed back to August. So you'll know what's coming. You have a good heads up. You can start talking to your shops, checking online, seeing what you got to do to get your hands on them if they're not accessible. And then I will be doing a part 2 of the video when DC releases their list of books, and also some of the merchandising stuff. I'll try to include in that one later once DC's done making their announcement. But as far as Marvel and all the indies, I got all the gold tier sponsorship books in there and all the silver tiered sponsorship books in there. So there's 50 titles included in this video. So do not miss that video. Get ahead of the curve on that. And then Tuesday, I'll be going live with whoever's around at the time to want to go live. And then Wednesday, I got a lot of mail again. I still have a Kirby Care package I haven't opened. I'm going to be doing come Wednesday, we'll see where yeah, I know, right? We'll see where the subscriber count is, and I'll think about putting out the video that I'll be doing for the 800 subscriber milestone celebration, which it'll be something that's different than I normally do, but it'll be something that's definitely been done before. So as I like to remind y'all, you'll want to check it out because it'll definitely be different, but also the same, just different. So be on the lookout. A lot of that fun stuff. So Friday morning, 7:30 a.m., early morning comic chat with Tyler from Whack Comics and whoever's around. Hopefully we can do another marathon because I had a blast doing that. I'm not time restricted on Friday mornings always. So if I'm not, we'll just let it ride till the wheels fall off again and see who pops in and can hang out because that was really fun. We literally talked about everything. Mostly not comic book reviews though. And that's what we do on Sunday nights. So
yeah,
it was awesome, but different.
And if this were still the 90s, it would be more extreme.
Yeah, we'll just throw some extreme on it.
Yeah.
So again, guys, go
Bigger
check
shoulders.
out Blasted and Stash and Comics. I mean, obviously it goes without saying, sub up to the Cosmic Campfire over here, sub up to the Comic Vet down here. But if you have a channel, if you have an Instagram page, if you have a Facebook, please go check out Blasted and Stash and Comics and enter that contest because I want to watch more of those videos. I want to get to know some of you that watch the channel, that hang out in the chat and talk to us all the time. I'd love to see some stuff in your collection. You don't have to show off stuff in your collection. I went overboard with my video intentionally because it was just fun. That was just naturally what happened when I was going through stuff. But that's all I got for tonight. You guys, y'all got anything else? Well, then, until next time, go ahead, Chris. Tell them.
Stay safe. And remember, we are Legion.